Well, you put Bill Belichick and Dabo Sweeney into a room together and you get what? It's a great question. You get an hour and a half or so of really good, really interesting answers and comments. Last night, Bill Belichick and Dabo Sweeney went head-to-head with Reese Davis, a College Game Day podcast, and they discussed a lot of things, the potential future of the college football playoff, a lot of Clemson's players from the past that Bill Belichick has had experience with in the NFL, and a lot more that you'll hear right here in this very segment. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Thursday. It's a Thursday edition of Wire to Wire. Diesel still on vacation. I am solo with you today, but there is a ton to get to today. A loaded show, and I mean loaded show coming your way. Guest, content, audio, all right here on the Fan Upstate. Going to get into the conversation with Dabo Sweeney and Bill Belichick. Audio from that. In the next segment, we'll get back into the Clemson regional conversation. Eric Bakich named a starting pitcher for tomorrow against USC Upstate. We asked the question yesterday, and today the question was answered. Also, what happened in the NHL, NBA last night. A lot of audio to throw at you at 4 o'clock. Reggie Chapman Jr. from Atlanta to talk Atlanta Braves. Daily Wires, 4:45. Tolo Takeover, 5 o'clock. Tolos, the phone lines will be open at 5 just for you, and it only gets better. 5:20, we'll be joined by Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer to talk Carolina Panthers, their OTAs. We'll have an Atlanta Braves update, college baseball regional conversation. So much to get into, and only 4 hours to do it. Again, welcome into the show. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Thursday, whether you're listening in Spartanburg, Greenville, on the free Odyssey app, watching the show on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, as 31 Tolos have hopped in the last 2 minutes. 32 now, make it 33 on the stream. You can text the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Chat, also an option if you are watching the stream, again, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to give a quick shout-out to Brandon in Spartanburg, Tolo Brandon in Spartanburg, who honked at me earlier today around lunchtime on Highway 9 in Boiling Springs. Shout out Tolo Brandon if you are listening to the show. Appreciate you doing so, and appreciate the wave, the shout out earlier. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see Tolos. I love seeing Tolos out and about, especially when they use the word Tolo as Brandon did today. On this Thursday, a little bit cloudy, windy, some rain, storms, maybe the forecast. Just a weird weather week, but hopefully we'll get some sunshine in the near future. The College Softball World Series happening. It's on the television in front of me, and the game just started, and it's already 2-0 Tennessee over Oklahoma. That didn't take long at all. In the first inning, already 2 hits, 2 runs allowed by Oklahoma. Again, the College World Series happening for softball. Clemson Regionals tomorrow. We'll get you set on that. Good to see Brian Pettit on the YouTube stream. He says it's been a crazy day. Has it, Brian? For me, a little bit as well. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. And appreciate you being a part of the show today, Brian. But let's listen and react to Bill Belichick and Dabo Sweeney, man. If you missed it last night, this was a good one. A really good episode, a really good interview, rather. Not really an episode, but a really good interview. A lot of content and a lot to react to right here during this interview that Reese Davis did with Belichick and Dabo Sweeney. The first piece of audio is what Dabo Sweeney, or how Dabo Sweeney reacted when he heard the news that Bill Belichick would be joining him in the ACC.
I was excited, honestly. I think it's great for our league. Certainly probably surprised like everyone else because he's arguably the best to ever do it and to do it at the highest level at the NFL. And, he's so close to the all-time winningest record there. So I was probably surprised at first like everyone, but then it was like, wow, this is Bill Belichick coming to the ACC. And so I thought it was pretty cool.
What have the meetings been like, Bill? Here at the ACC, you guys recently had coaches meetings and so forth, as opposed to your previous experience, previous life in the NFL.
Learned a lot. Yeah, I learned a lot. Listening to the people I coach, like Dabo, Bill O'Brien, guys like that have been around and just trying to figure out some of the nuances here that we're working with some new rules and some new policies that are coming into college football. So I'm just trying to figure it out. But Dabo's players have caused me a lot of headaches through the years. I'm telling you. I mean, where do you want to start? Watson, Hopkins, Christian Wilkins came and got him out of Connecticut. Then sent him down to Miami. He was all the pass rushers. Had so many great defensive linemen. That we couldn't block. So.
Probably because you guys were always drafting late. You never got a chance to draft some of the players. All the players you saw, scouting, pro days, who's your favorite Clemson player that you ever scouted?
It's a good question here by Reese Davis. Again, if you just tuned into the show, we're listening and reacting to audio of Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney last night and their sit-down with Reese Davis. This one's really interesting. Who is your favorite Clemson player that you've ever scouted? If you haven't heard this yet, this one's interesting. It's not who I thought Bill Belichick would say. It's not who I thought he would give as his answer here when he was talking to Reese Davis sitting beside Dabo Swinney in this interview. But here is what Bill Belichick had to say about his favorite Clemson player that he ever scouted. This is really good stuff for you Clemson fans out there.
It probably would be Wilkins. Character, playing ability, all-around player. He could rush. He could run. He was very good at the point of attack. He was great personal character, really smart kid, went to Suffield Academy. And, is just a man's man. I came from a tough area, out of Springfield, that really, had a heck of a college career and then a heck of an NFL career. We had a hard time blocking him at Miami twice a year, so I didn't like that. But I had a lot. I mean, look, you'd had 1,000 of them. I mean, we double covered Hopkins as much as any player I've ever coached. So.
I always told with DeAndre, if one guy was on him, he's wide open. Yeah. If two's on him, he's still open. So throw it anyway. That was kind of the philosophy with Newt. But yeah, Christian, he'll appreciate that. He's a huge Boston guy, and he was a big Patriots fan, and so he'll appreciate. I don't know if he'll see this or not, but he'll appreciate that.
Everybody's going to see it.
Dexter Lawrence might see it too, and have something to argue with you about.
Thankfully, he was in the NFC, but he was unblockable. He has so many great defense.
So Bill Belichick there really just praising Dabo's ability to player or to develop and recruit defensive players. Talking about you hear Bill Belichick right here. He said you had so many great defensive linemen, and I will tell you this: you look back. I mean, here we are in 2025. You look back if you're a Clemson fan on the defensive linemen that Dabo Swinney has had in the past decade, or even decade and a half. I mean, it's truly a remarkable run. Like, it's truly a remarkable job that Dabo Swinney was able to do. Yeah, we all know Dabo has 2 national championships, but if you just go through, I mean, I'm not going to do it right here in this segment, but just go through and look at the defensive linemen that are playing in the NFL that Dabo Swinney coached. It is truly remarkable, and I don't think we talk enough about that. What's been lacking at Clemson over the last few years, and maybe why Clemson hasn't been at the top of the college football world, they haven't had those guys. They haven't had the Christian Wilkins of the world. They've got some guys now. They've got some really good players that are going to contribute in a big way, but they haven't had those dominant type players like Christian Wilkins, like you heard Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney talking about. The NFL production speaks for itself. Matt Kraft on the YouTube stream says, same with Mike Williams, just not the same NFL production. Good to see Matt Kraft, Zach, a few others, 47 of you Tolos now in the stream. It's really interesting, though. I mean, you talk about what Dabo Swinney's done at Clemson. there was an epic run where you look at the wide receiving core, Madcraft, that you mentioned, and what Dabo did on the defensive line and how big of a part Brent Venables was and all of that. It was a force to be reckoned with. They had defensive linemen after defensive linemen after defensive linemen. And the fact that Bill Belichick said Christian Wilkins was his favorite player to scout, that says a ton. It says a ton. And obviously he didn't go to New England, went to Miami, right? But it says a ton about a guy when you talk about all of the great defensive linemen that Dabo's had over the years. Here's more from that sit-down.
He's special. He won the Campbell Trophy.
Still talking about Christian Wilkins, by the way.
In all of college football and got a master's degree in 3.5 years. And, he is an amazing story, but as good a player as he is, and he's got a lot of flash to him, but there's a ton of substance with Christian Wilkins. And that's really ultimately what's made him such a great player and great teammate.
Yeah.
Christian Wilkins in the NFL, because of where he plays, probably not talked about near enough, maybe as much as we thought he would be. He did go to the Raiders. He got traded in 2023. So you look at Christian Wilkins. He was one of the all-time best defensive players for Clemson. Has that translated into the NFL? Well, let's look and see. If you look at Christian Wilkins, 2024 with the Raiders, 17 tackles, 6 assists, 2 sacks. Going back to the 2023 year he had with Miami, a really good year, 65 tackles, 27 assists, 9 sacks in 2023, 2022, 98 combined tackles, 89 combined tackles in 2021. Didn't have the best sack numbers in 2022, only 3.5 sacks compared to the next year he had 9. But he's been a really solid player in the NFL. So when you look at what Christian Wilkins was at Clemson, a generational type player, it just goes to show that like a generational type player in Christian Wilkins at the college level, as good as he was, at the NFL level, there's a lot of guys like that. There's a lot of guys like that. And again, that's not disrespecting Christian Wilkins in any way, shape, or form, but he hasn't been just as flat dominant in the NFL. Now, he's still really, really hard to block. There's no doubt. But it just goes to show how deep the NFL is. But I love Christian Wilkins, man. One of the best to ever wear the orange at Clemson. Here's more from that conversation.
Before this.
Not well. He came to Clemson. I think he came to Clemson one time. And so I may have met him one time over the years when I was at Alabama, because I was at Alabama for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And I think I went to Alabama when I was 18, left when I was 31. So, who gets to do that? But when you do get to do that, you get to meet a lot of neat people over the time. And so I met a lot of great head coaches and different just heroes of mine growing up that I got to see, at pro days and different things like that coming through practice. But I specifically, I know you came to Clemson one time, but I feel like I know him just like everybody because he's Bill Belichick. And how do you not know who he is? And I've been to 2 of your Super Bowls. Unfortunately, I was in Minnesota. I was there. I went to see Dwayne Allen. So I've been to. We've had 7 years in a row with a Clemson guy winning a Super Bowl. But I went to the one in Minnesota. It was the coldest I've ever. I thought I was going to die. But that was a crazy game. But the next year, I think y'all were back there in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I got to see you guys and Dwayne Allen become a Super Bowl champion. So that was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, he did a good job for us. Really did. But yeah, a lot of respect, and of course, knowing you and your staff and what you've done at Clemson, you had so many number 1 draft choices, number 2 draft choices. All through the years, 20-some years, it's just been a tremendous run. Success has been incredible.
Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird in 2025? Here we are in 2025, and we're sitting here listening to audio of Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney sitting beside one another, coaching in the same conference. Dabo's right. We all know who Bill Belichick is because of his dominance. He's probably the best ever at the pro level, right? But, man, just to see, just to step back and think, these two guys sitting at the same table, coaching in the same conference, going to play each other in a few months, it's weird. It is strange. It is going to take some time to get used to because I'll tell you this, seeing Bill Belichick on the sidelines on a Saturday, I don't know if it might take me a whole year to get used to. It really is. Madcraft asked, is Rob Brown joining today? No, Rob Brown joined yesterday. We have the Tolo takeover today, Madcraft. If you were a true Tolo, wouldn't you know that, Madcraft? I mean, come on, what kind of question is that? Wesley Roberts, good to see you on the Facebook stream. Wesley says, where's Diesel solo Tolo today? Wesley, Diesel's on vacation. He's been on vacation all week. I've been solo all week. Where you been, man? Where have you been? You're checking in from some foreign country that we're all jealous of while it's cloudy and windy and rainy here in the upstate. I'm sure you are. Go ahead and rub it in. But, man, if you just tuned into the show, this Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney conversation's worth going back and just watching the entire interview when you get home. It really is. There's some good stuff, and obviously in this very first segment we only have time to dive into a little bit of it, but really good, interesting, or some really interesting points. And now all of a sudden, could it possibly be, depending on how long Bill Belichick stays, could it be a game that we all look forward to every year in the ACC when talking about Clemson and North Carolina? Here's a few more minutes before we run to a break of these two going at it last night.
Both of you guys have been able to adapt, embrace new, so to speak. Obviously, with you, Bill, coming into college football as a head coach for the first time, though, you have an encyclopedic knowledge of it, of football in general. And Dabo, I think the way you've changed in terms of the way you look at the portal, you guys have used it judiciously while still maintaining what you believe to be the most important part of program building. What's the most important thing about being willing to adapt to something new if you're going to be effective as a leader, Bill?
Oh, man, what an interesting question this is. This might be my favorite. And Reese Davis says Dabo's changed. I don't really know that Dabo has changed. Just my opinion there. But this is a fun question. How do you adapt? How do you stay with the times as a leader? I believe Bill's going to answer first, and then Dabo goes next. This could be a good one. Let's see.
Well, I think the main thing for me is to provide the team with what they want, what they need. And our kids want to be good. They want to work hard. They want to get better. They want to be good. They want to be a pro. Be a pro in the NFL, be a pro in life, and get a great academic education. So that's what we're built on, and that's what I want to try to provide. Whether that's leadership, whether that's technique on the football field, whether that's a schedule that allows them to achieve their academic goals. That's what they're there for. That's what I'm there for, and I want to try to do everything I can to provide that.
That was kind of a weird answer. It didn't really. I don't feel like you really answered the question that Reese was asking. Let's see what Dabo said on that, or if he was even asked.
Had to change some things to embrace the new era, the way college football is now?
I think to be a great leader, you got to be a lifelong learner. I mean, it's just something that we do all the time. In fact, somebody was asking me about that in an earlier interview with Coach here, and I was like, he's been successful because he's a lifelong learner, and I think we all are. If you've had any type of consistency, you have to constantly learn and grow, but also think you got to have some conviction. And you can lead with conviction or you can lead with compromise. I think there's two different ways to do it. And I believe what I believe. I don't apologize for being me. And we've won consistently. But I think our purpose is exactly the same as it was 16 years ago. As a college football coach, it hasn't changed one bit. How you go about achieving the purpose, then those things change. Rules change. There's lots of things that we can do now that 16 years ago they put you in jail for. So I mean, things evolve, and I think you change. But as far as like my personal approach and philosophy to how we build our team at Clemson, hadn't changed a bit.
And that's why I knew I hadn't heard that exact answer yet, but I did know that he was going to slip that in there because Reese kind of hinted that Dabo had changed, and I knew Dabo would get back around to that. That as far as his personal approach, it hasn't changed, right? Like it's. I don't know. I didn't love the way Reese Davis asked it, but I do think Dabo, said it well there. We evolve, but personally, he, if you know Dabo, if you've listened to him, he hasn't changed.
We're purpose-driven.
Few more
relationship-driven.
minutes here.
It's exactly the same. People love to talk about the portal. We've signed 5 portal guys in 5 years. This isn't the first time I've ever used the portal. I've just thought we use it as we need it. As Coach said, I want to do what's best for my team. I want to do what's best for Clemson. I want to do what's best for our staff. I'm not worried about what's best for other people. I want to do what's best for our group. And everybody's situation is different. And I've said this many times. If I left today and took a job somewhere else in college football, half the team would leave. And so you have to build your roster.
Yeah.
You can't go sign 50 high school kids. You got to build your roster. Our situation is different. In the craziest time in the history of college football, in the last 3 years, we're top in the country in retention. And we also have the highest graduation rate. And we've been in the playoffs 7 times in 10 years, and we won the league 8 out of 10 years. And so, but it's all been driven by a purpose. And that's what we stay committed to. That's our North Star. How we go about achieving the purpose certainly changes. And you learn and you grow constantly. And man, when I grow up, I want to be just like Coach. He's a wealth of knowledge. But here he is. I'm looking at Bill Belichick in our coaches meeting, and he's asking questions. This guy's won more games than any of us are ever going to probably coach in at the highest level of football. And he's sitting in the ACC coaches meeting, very humbly asking some questions.
What's the best question he asked?
Because he's like, no, let's talk about this portal. I thought we just set the portal window here. Now we're going to move it again. And we're talking about a calendar, and we're talking about these things. And because he's inquisitive.
Man, that's good stuff. It really is. We've got to run to a break, so we can't get to all of it. But I did want to bring that to the airwaves today for you out there that have not heard it, for you Clemson fans as well. Really good, interesting conversations happening. Really, really interesting conversations happening between Bill Belichick and Dabo. And I will say my last thought before we run to a break. I do find it very fascinating that Bill Belichick, who Dabo Swinney just pointed out and said, Bill Belichick's won more than anybody else, right? Bill Belichick, who has won more games and more Super Bowls than most people on planet Earth, is now all of a sudden turned into a completely different person, not just because of how he handles the media and how he talks and how he seems happy and how he has a young girlfriend, not because of that, but because of what Dabo was touching on right there, in the sense of Bill Belichick is eager to learn. And while Dabo Swinney could learn and get a wealth of knowledge from Bill, in the same sense, man, Bill Belichick can learn a lot from a guy like Dabo. When Dabo's sitting there talking about how he builds his program and how he handles the portal and how he does all of these different things, you don't think Bill's sitting there as a sponge just soaking every bit of that in? I guarantee you he is, because that's what great leaders in life do. They sit there and they learn and they learn and they learn more. And then when they get old, guess what they do? They keep learning. Bill Belichick's going to have to keep learning about college football in totality. But I can tell you what he'll do. He'll adapt and he'll figure out a way to do it. I don't know how long Bill Belichick will coach at North Carolina, but I'm telling you, man, when you look at the way that he approaches this and the way that he wants to win, and I know we've spent most of the time talking about his young girlfriend, and I get it. It's a fun, weird story, right? But if he stays at North Carolina long enough, I bet you he'll figure out a way to win in college football. I'm telling you, man, people say he's too old. People say, oh, he didn't win much. And now I've been a critic of his post-Tom Brady in the NFL, right? But I bet you he figures out a way to win. in the NFL, or excuse me, in the ACC. I really do. I like his approach. He does have that sponge mentality, if you will, of wanting to learn as much as he can. So really good stuff there. Really, really good stuff in that interview with Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney. I like it. I really do. Let's see. Texter on the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line, who won last night, by the way. Texter says, first time looking at the stream. Is that Lonzo's desk, your desk, or the station's desk? You mean like right here, Texter? Is that what you're talking about? This is the studio's desk, I guess. We all have separate offices outside of the studio, Texter, if that's what you're talking about. But this is the desk of the Fan Upstate studio. I hope that answers your question. Speaking of answering questions, we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about Clemson this weekend in their regional, who they should throw out on the mound. Do you throw your ace out there, or do you save your ace for later in the series? Well, a decision has been made. In case you missed it, Eric Bakich, he'll let you know what that decision is next. Oh, boy, when it rains, it pours for the Atlanta Braves, right? I think it's time to just go ahead and call this season a wrap. I really do. I'm telling you. I think it's time, man. I do. I know it's just May 29th, but Mark Bowman of the MLB just tweets out on his personal Twitter account. A source says the Braves' A.J. Smith-Shawver felt a pop in his elbow this afternoon. The Atlanta Braves have not given an update as of yet. I mean, isn't that just freaking wonderful? Isn't that wonderful for the Atlanta Braves, as bad as the season's gone? They got off to a bad start today, fell down 3-0, battled back. They've tied it now at 4. The Atlanta Braves' Michael Harris just doubled to right center field, so they've tied the game up at 4. Philly went up 4-3 after it was tied. And now the Braves are tied in the top of the 8th inning with the Philadelphia Phillies trying to win this game. And all of a sudden, what feels like just a monumental game for the Atlanta Braves. It really does. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you, Tolos, on this Tolo Thursday right here in the upstate of South Carolina. 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville. And on the free Odyssey app, if you haven't done so, make sure you download it. AUDACY. 63 Tolos watching the stream, or you can watch the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So we'll keep you updated on the Atlanta Braves. Also, College World Series action for softball happening. Tennessee leads Oklahoma 2-1 in the bottom of the second inning. I have that game up on the TV here in the studio. So we'll keep you updated there. Again, top of the 8th in Philadelphia. It's tied at 4. Braves, Phillies, and there's 2 outs. Michael Harris on second, Nick Allen at the plate for the Braves, trying to get a win against the leader in the clubhouse in the division. Going to be tough, but we'll see. Not good news there on A.J. Smith-Shawver. Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open to Clemson fans. I know we talked about Dabo and Bill's conversation, but yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about this coming weekend and the regional that lies ahead, with Clemson facing USC Upstate on Friday night. The conversation from a texter, the texter asked a question yesterday to begin the conversation, and the conversation quickly turned to, who do you throw? We asked about it with Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com when he joined the show yesterday, and we both kind of went back and forth. I said yesterday on the show that I thought there was a bigger reward than there was a bigger risk in saving Aiden Canuck if you are Clemson. And guess what? A decision has been made on who the Clemson Tigers will go with. Here's Eric Bakich earlier today.
Most exciting time of the year. Excited to watch our guys get after it. And we've got a loaded regional, a lot of talent. We've got the best 4 seed in the bracket in the entire tournament with USC up.
I want to pause it right there, by the way. Did you hear what he said? If not, I'll start it over. Very Dabo Sweeney-like, as Dabo always gives high praise to the opponent. Eric Bakich doing the same thing. Listen to what he says about USC Upstate.
Most exciting time of the year. Excited to watch our guys get after it. And we've got a loaded regional, a lot of talent. We've got the best 4 seed in the bracket in the entire tournament.
Best
with USC Upstate, and obviously.
Did you hear that? Best 4 seed in the bracket in the entire tournament. Eric Bakich claims that USC Upstate is the nation's best 4 seed. How do you feel about that, Clemson fans? How do you feel about that on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line at 844-326-3663? I don't know if I would disagree with Eric Bakich. Eric Bakich knows baseball, right? He certainly knows what he's talking about, far more than I do when it comes to college baseball. So I'm not saying that I disagree, but it is really, really interesting to hear Eric Bakich say that about Upstate and how high he thinks of Upstate. Well, what about a pitcher, Coach Bakich? What about pitcher on Friday?
2 really good programs with West Virginia and Kentucky, so I feel like this regional is loaded and a lot of good teams, and excited to get going.
I guess pitching-wise, you decided who's going to start?
Yeah, Tits.
Did you hear that? Tits? Yes, that's what he said. Drew Titsworth John Blau, the Post and Courier, asked him. I'll replay it for you in case you missed it.
Good teams and excited to get going.
I guess pitching wise, you decided who's gonna start?
Yeah, Tits. Yep, Drew Titsworth. He's got the ball tomorrow.
So there it is. Drew Titsworth has the ball tomorrow, says Eric Bakich of Clemson. Aiden Canuck, Clemson's ace, their stud. He will not go tomorrow. They'll save him for later in the weekend. Personally, I think this is 110% the right decision by Eric Bakich. 100% the right decision here. We talked about it yesterday. I said it a minute ago. There's so much more of a reward, in my opinion. Now, it could backfire. But there's so much more of a reward than there is a risk. Aiden Canuck, a lot of people look at it. We had texters talking about it yesterday. Aiden Canuck's your ace, right? You want your ace to go out there and take care of business to make sure you win that first game. However, Eric Bakich, even though he said Upstate's the best 4 seed in the nation, he feels that Drew Titsworth can go out there and take care of business against the best 4 seed in the nation. And Eric Bakich smiling ear to ear while giving that answer. Here's more from EB.
What kind of led to that decision?
We knew we were going to do it the whole time.
There's the question. What led to that decision? Bakich says we knew we were going to do it the whole time. I don't know if I believe. Maybe he did. Maybe he did know that the whole time. I just thought that the opponent definitely matters. But Eric Bakich says they knew they were going to throw Titsworth tomorrow the entire time.
Yeah, that was kind of a no-brainer for us. So, yeah, excited to see him get out there. Feel really confident when he's on the mound.
Any more questions, media?
What did you guys learn from the first matchup this season? I know it was almost 3 months ago at this point, but a demanding and commanding win that you had over them. What did you learn from Upstate in that matchup?
Nothing at all. They're a totally different team now. It would be foolish to look back and try to draw anything from that game. We're a different team. They're a different team. That was a...
So when asked about exactly what he learned from that matchup against USC Upstate, he says nothing at all. He says they're a different team, we're a different team, and I do agree with him on that. It is completely different. But this goes to show that if you're Eric Bakich, if you're Clemson, you value moving on from the regional so much, which you should, by the way, kind of a duh, right? A duh statement there, but you value moving on or having the chance to move on so badly that you're willing to take a little bit of a risk, and he may not admit that it's a risk, but it certainly is a little bit of a risk when you don't start your ace on Friday night. But you're willing to take that risk because you know that the reward, if it pays off, if it goes your way, the reward all of a sudden is that, boom, comes Saturday, guess what? You're going up against Kentucky or West Virginia, and you've got your guy. You've got your ace in Aiden Canuck. I think it's a good move. Sometimes in life, sometimes in sports, you have to make some risky decisions, and this is, in my mind, a little bit risky, but I do 100% think it's the right move. A little bit more audio. We have time for a little bit more audio from Eric Bakich.
Game on the neutral site, and they've gone on and just had a monster year and a lot of power hitters, 5 or 6 guys with double-digit homers and coming off a dog pile. So we know they're feeling really good and confident and hot, and just a tip of the cap to Coach Sweeney. He's certainly a rising star in the industry and has a loaded team, and for a first-year head coach to come in and do that, what he's done, taking over a program that's double tough. So we have a lot of respect for them, their program. Their program's always been good, but they certainly have playing with some extra juice this year for sure.
How about that high praise talking about Kane Sweeney and the job that he's done? We had Kane Sweeney on the show on Tuesday talking about this weekend's regional, previewing the game against Clemson. And man, oh man, that is high praise right there from Eric Bakich, the head baseball coach at Clemson, talking about the program that's right here in the upstate, in upstate South Carolina, USC Upstate, the Spartans. That's exciting. And I don't know what Upstate will do this weekend. I think Clemson takes care of business on Friday night, but ultimately it may be a short trip for Upstate. Ultimately, they may go win a couple games. Maybe they win one game. However, the fact that they're here, the fact that they did win the conference, like Eric Bakich just mentioned, and them winning the Big South and having the momentum and having the confidence and having the power throughout the lineup, it's something to think about. It definitely has your concern. It's not just a cupcake opponent. It's not going to be a cakewalk for Clemson. They did beat them 7-0 in the first matchup this season, but they may beat them 7-0 again this time. I don't know, but I will tell you, I do think it says a lot about Upstate's program, the way that Eric Bakich talked about him right there. It really does. Good stuff, though, but there you have it. The Clemson Tigers have named a pitcher for Friday night tomorrow. What happened last night in the NHL? What happened to the Hurricanes? What happened in the NBA last night to the Minnesota Timberwolves? We'll talk about it. Want to hear your thoughts on it next. if you aren't watching Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City in the Women's College World Series, this softball game happening right now is a good one. It really is. Top of the third, Tennessee leads Oklahoma 3-1. College softball's fun, man. It's hard to beat. If you've never watched it, really competitive teams. We really wish Clemson and South Carolina were there. They were almost there. But really, really good stuff. In the NHL last night, the season came to an end. It's a tough way to do it because they only won one game, but the season for the Carolina Hurricanes did come to an end last night. The Panthers defeated the Carolina Hurricanes 5-3. Panthers move on to the NHL Finals, and the Carolina Hurricanes, look, a really, really good season. You just weren't competitive enough against a really good Panthers team in the NHL. In the NBA last night, man, speaking of not being competitive, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, come on. Thunder, 124, Timberwolves, 94. I sent out a tweet last night, and I don't know if you saw it or not, Tolos, but I give credit to Minnesota for being in the conference finals, but they were outmatched in every single game. They did get one game. They did get one win, but they were just completely outmatched other than that. And Anthony Edwards, we all know how good he is and how good he's going to be, but this team wasn't capable of going up against Oklahoma City, probably not capable of going up against Indiana if they were to somehow have won this series. I did tweet out last night that I thought Minnesota, I don't want to sound like this is taking credit away from them, but I thought they were aided in a large way by the Lakers not having a big man in that first series, and then Steph Curry going down and being injured a little bit in that last series. Minnesota, you give them a lot of credit. They're a really good basketball team with a really good coach, and Anthony Edwards is on his way to becoming one of the greats in the NBA. But let's just face the facts here. This series, outside of that one measly win, it wasn't competitive. Last night, 124-94, Oklahoma City just came out guns a-blazing last night. How about Chet Holmgren, 22 points, Jalen Williams, 19, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander does what he does every single night, 34 for SGA. He was 14 of 25. Dort had 12. The bench was incredible. You get guys like Isaiah Joe, who had 10 plus off the bench. Oklahoma City's loaded. Oklahoma City's on their way to winning the NBA championship. The Indiana Pacers might have something to say about that, but I'm telling you, they're absolutely loaded, and what a win it was last night. So the Thunder do punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. We have one team that has already punched their ticket, maybe one more doing so tonight. We'll get into that game a little bit later in the show today. If you just tuned in, if you just got in the car, welcome into the program. I'm Cole Bryson solo. Diesel still on his vacation. A loaded show, even though hour number one is in the books. A loaded show coming your way. A lot of audio to get to in the next segment. We're going to talk Atlanta Braves at 4:20 with Reggie Chapman Jr., good friend of the show. A ton of sports headlines to get to. The Tolo Takeover happening at 5 o'clock today. Mike K., Charlotte Observer, to talk Carolina Panthers and OTAs, joins the show for the first time ever at 5:20. So a new guest today. We'll keep you updated on the Atlanta Braves throughout the course of the day. They play twice today, and right now, bottom of the eighth inning in Philadelphia, one out. Philadelphia has taken the lead, has retaken the lead, I guess. It's gone back and forth. Been a really good game, but the Phillies now lead 5-4 over your Atlanta Braves. The Braves are 25-28. If they drop this one, obviously 25-29, and 10.5 games back in the NL East. Is that right? Not good. So let's see if the Braves can mount a comeback here and somehow, some way get a win. This feels massive. Bottom of the eighth inning, by the way, it's not even over. The bases are loaded for Philadelphia, so it could get worse. And not to make matters worse here, but A.J. Smith-Shawver felt a pop in his elbow earlier in the day. So Oh, man, really tough. Really, really tough here at the end of May for the Atlanta Braves. Tolos, want to hear from you. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Hour number 2 of the show is next. A good old-fashioned audio blitz. I'm going to throw a lot of audio at you. And the best audio I have is Joy Taylor. Have y'all heard this? Have you heard this audio? Maybe the most embarrassing moment on air for a sports broadcaster. You tell me. That's next. number 2 of Wire to Wire. So good to be with you, Tolos, on this Thursday. I'm Cole Bryson. Diesel's still on vacation. He'll be back at some point next week and grace us with his presence yet again. But we have a ton of audio to get to right here on the show. I mean, a lot of audio. I have like 15 different pieces of audio. I don't know if any of it's better than Joy Taylor. This is, if you haven't heard this, I cannot wait to hear the reaction from all of you Tolos out there once you do. Oh, my word. What's up, Scotty from BMW? What's up, Gordon, on the stream? Good to see all of you out there on this Thursday. Scotty, he says, Anthony Edwards sad after Michael Jordan disowns him. Post-game interview, Timberwolves versus Thunder. What do you mean he was sad? I don't understand what you were saying there, Scotty from BMW. If you were trying to send a link, it might not have come through on the stream. But you can chat. You can leave a comment. You can tell me I'm smart or an idiot, or you agree or disagree on the stream. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube is where you can find the show every single day. You can also text the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line. Make sure you text that. Save that number in your phone at 844-326-3663. It's a good thing. Just go ahead and save it in your phone. And then Tolos, 1 hour from now. 1 hour from right now. It's your chance. It's your opportunity to take over these very airwaves. We need a new promo, a new intro for the Tolo Takeover. So today, I'm calling on you, Tolos, to have some pretty good calls at 5 o'clock. Come on. Maybe some new callers as well today. 5 o'clock today, phone lines will be open. Scotty says, watch the video. I can't click there's no link there, Scotty. If it doesn't show up for me as a link. If you text it to the show, I might be able to see it, but on the stream, it doesn't show up as a link. It just shows up as a title, as a regular comment. All right, here we go. Let's get into this audio blitz. But I want to start with quite possibly the best or worst audio. I don't know. You can judge it on your own here. But Joy Taylor, boy, oh boy, is this not fascinating audio. I want to set the scene for you Tolos out there, because if you haven't heard this, I want you to understand what's happening in this audio. So Joy Taylor has this little show she does, not little, I don't want to make it sound disrespectful, a show Speak or whatever it is on Fox, right? Joy Taylor's always gotten a little bit of criticism, just not really knowing exactly what she's talking about. But to set the scene for you Tolos out there, to set the table, Joy Taylor today went off on Aaron Rodgers for not showing up to the first day of OTAs for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, you say, Cole, well, that doesn't make much sense. Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Steelers, does he? He's a free agent. That's right. You would be correct. Aaron Rodgers is not a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The worst part of this audio is there's two guys to the right, or one guy to the right, one to the left of Joy Taylor. And guess what? Not one of them stopped her during this rant. So again, just so you Tolos know, here's the rant of Joy Taylor talking about someone that she assumes, I don't know how you do this job with not knowing this information, but let me just quit talking. You got to hear this. This is crazy.
Why? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have six Lombardies. They're coached by first ballot Hall of Fame Mike Tomlin.
They don't have a quarterback.
Never had a losing
They don't have a
season.
quarterback.
And we're sitting around talking about Aaron Rodgers is not there on the first day of OTAs. Mandatory or not, where's your pride? Where's your dignity?
That's why I say I'm going to give him another day.
Where's your respect for the game? Where's your respect for this organization? Where's this organization's respect for the history that they have in this league? What are we talking about? He's never played there before. He doesn't know any of these teammates. He doesn't know the streets to get to the facility. He doesn't know the doctors. He doesn't know the rehab crew. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know where to get his smoothies. Nothing. Like, why would you not be there? Why am I supposed to take this seriously? It's not about him not being at non-mandatory OTAs for a team that he's been with for 22 years. Do what you want to do. You won 5 games last year. The year before that, you didn't play because you tore your Achilles. The year before that, you missed the playoffs. What are we talking about?
That's a good question, Joy. What are we talking about? How do you still have a job? How do you host a sports TV program and you just woke up on this Thursday and thought, Aaron Rodgers, he signed with the Steelers. I guess we saw it. No, we didn't see it. Why didn't we see it? No, because it didn't happen, Joy Taylor. Maybe you thought you saw. Maybe you had a dream where you thought Aaron Rodgers was a member of the Steelers. I don't know how in the world after that, first of all, how nobody corrects her. Second of all, how in the world she still has a job. That is the most embarrassing piece of audio I have ever heard in my entire life. You are paying someone to get up there and at least pretend like she knows sports. Well, it's very evident she doesn't know sports. Scotty on the YouTube stream says, LOL, she likes to listen to fake news. Evidently so. Evidently she's got a news source out there that we have yet to find out about. That is the craziest piece of audio I've ever heard. It's the craziest piece of audio I think I've ever heard. Going on this the 2-minute long rant about why Aaron Rodgers isn't showing up for OTAs. Newsflash, Joy, he doesn't play for that team. Oh my gosh, somebody should have said something. Say Joy. He's not there. I don't know. But it's certainly embarrassing on the part of Joy Taylor. I don't think she's tweeted anything out about it, but that's embarrassing. Mason Rudolph, who does have a job with the Pittsburgh Steelers, was asked about this earlier today, or yesterday rather, after OTAs. Here's what he said.
Well, that's nothing new to me. There's been constant noise. That is the nature of the NFL. So I am been used to that for a long time now. Do nothing but be the best I can be and help our team get better this spring.
Have you been in touch with Aaron at all?
I have not. No.
Not been in touch. Why would he have been in touch with somebody that's not on the team, right? Help me understand that. I don't know. I'll tell you where I stand on this whole Aaron Rodgers thing. You can tell me where you stand, but I'm kind of to the point now where here we are almost in the month of June. He hasn't signed. He's not on a team. Why are we still talking about the guy? I get that he's a future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. I get that. But what are we doing here? What are we doing still talking about Aaron Rodgers? I mean, for goodness sake, we'll be kicking off the NFL season with the Cowboys and Eagles in a few months. And all everybody's going to be talking about is, Aaron Rodgers, what about? I mean, come on. Maybe he signs. Maybe he doesn't. Hopefully he doesn't. But goodness gracious, enough with the Aaron Rodgers already. Imagine if I led this show every day with Aaron Rodgers conversation. Oh, my gosh. You know what is some really – let me back up. Something that we talked about a lot last year was a few teams in the college football playoff, as I transitioned to a new piece of audio, that got left out of the college football playoff. What I was trying to say, what's really fascinating is hearing from other coaches who also agree that there were some good teams left out. Kirby Smart spoke, not smoke. He might have smoked, but he spoke yesterday to the media. If you didn't hear it, Kirby Smart, the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, defending the South Carolina Gamecocks.
I have a hard time seeing Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina not being in the best teams last year, and that for me is a big part of the SEC. And people want to say, well, you need to play 9 games, you can play 8 games. We don't really know which one of those is until we know the playoff format. But I beg everybody in this room the question, would we have been better off not playing Clemson last year, playing another SEC game to make 9 games? How would that have been better for the SEC? How would that have been better for Georgia? I don't think it would have.
Kirby Smart defending Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. We had that conversation a lot last year, right, about South Carolina, about the Gamecocks. What about Steve Sarkisian? Let's flip over from Georgia to Texas. And Steve Sarkisian also spoke to the media yesterday at the spring meetings. I don't know if we'll ever see an undefeated national champion again, says Steve Sarkisian. Here's what he said.
And so the idea, I think we've all got to wrap our brain around. I don't know if we'll ever see an undefeated national champion again. If we do, that's a really good team because it's just so difficult. And it's not so, it's difficult, yes, because of the quality of the opponents you play, but it's so difficult to stay healthy that long. I mean, you're going to have teams in years like we had last year where you lose your starting quarterback. And how do you respond to your quarterback being down? Or you lose both your left tackles. That happened to us last year. Or your left tackle, then your right tackle. And do you have the depth to endure? And so I think you're going to see teams more and more now, 2 losses, 3 losses, maybe even 4 losses that get in. Not very different than the NCAA baseball tournament of what that looks like. I looked at Vanderbilt, I think, as the number 1 seed. There was a point in the season they were 11-10, and now they're the number 1 seed in the baseball tournament. And so I don't know, and we kind of saw it in basketball this year with Florida and them winning the national. But this idea of somebody's going to go 16-0 in college football, man, put a statue up somewhere of that team because I just don't know if that's going to happen again.
So Steve Sarkisian basically saying, I don't think you'll ever see an undefeated national champion again. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? You agree with that? You know, I think I do agree. I think I find what he said to hold a good amount of weight there because you think about it. Look at the SEC, for example, what you have to do in the SEC each year to get out of the SEC, then what you have to do in the tournament, not the tournament, but the conference championship if you play in it, then what you have to do in the college football playoff. Obviously, you have to win out there, but you're playing tough competition. Teams have blemishes when they win national championships. Clemson, guess what? Won national championships, but they've had blemishes. I think I would lean towards agreeing with Steve Sarkisian there. On Tuesday, we had a segment at 5 o'clock. It was Overreaction Monday on Tuesday. I overreacted, and it's not an overreaction anymore. I'm really disappointed in Rory McIlroy. After the Masters, he has been MIA. He played in the PGA Championship. He was dreadful compared to what he normally does in Charlotte. And he's not playing in the tournament that Jack Nicklaus started in Dublin, Ohio this weekend, the Memorial. Rory says, nah, I'm good. He dodges media at the PGA Championship. I'm disappointed. Here is Jack Nicklaus on if Rory let him know that he wouldn't be playing this weekend.
Jack, I wanted to circle back on Rory. Did you have an inkling he wasn't going to play, and did you ever have a conversation with him on why?
I didn't have a conversation with him. No.
Did that surprise you?
A little bit.
I mean, is that not pathetic on the part of Rory McIlroy? It's just so pathetic. It really is. The Memorial's looked at, look, it's not a major, but it started today. It's looked at as a prestige tournament, a prestigious tournament. It really is. It really is. And by the way, which Ben Griffin, who just won last weekend, is leading the tournament. But it's pathetic on the part of Rory McIlroy. I'm very, very disappointed in Rory. Tolos, if you just tuned in, we got a little audio blitz rolling along right now. A ton of audio I'm throwing at you. How about this quick hit? It's like 6 seconds long, but it's funny. Kirby Smart was asked by a podcaster, a YouTuber, I'm not exactly sure who. It was kind of a joke, right? But he was asked if it was going to be tough watching Texas hoist the SEC championship trophy this year. Well, what did Kirby Smart have to say? Here's that audio.
Is it going to be tough watching Texas hoist the SEC championship trophy this year?
In what sport, baseball or basketball?
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Baseball or basketball? You got to love Kirby Smart there. Is it going to be tough watching Texas hoist the trophy? He says, what sport? Baseball or basketball? That's freaking hilarious. Let's see. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to cut this one I'm going to cut this one. Sorry, Justin Thomas. We don't really care about your time playing with Nick Saban and Ryan Day. How about Lane Kiffin and Paul Feinbaum going at it on the Paul Feinbaum show? This is comical.
We don't have a lot of time because you were late, but
I actually came here over the press conference I was supposed to be at the same time, so I chose you over the rest of the media combined.
so you chose being live on a nationally televised show over meeting a couple of guys who will still be there when you're done.
Well, if you put it that way.
What were you going to say to those assembled media?
I can't say yet. I'm going to go do that next.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to reveal my whole playoff plan. What it should look like.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not saying it on your show.
I don't listen. I'm fine with
your
that.
ratings.
I mean, this show.
Plus, I'm sticking up for Kirby. I just saw him walking off, and he said you were mean to him today. Guy's only been to, I just counted when they had him listed up there, 7 of the 8 last SEC championships, and you rip on him today.
I wasn't ripping on him. I was ripping on his quarterback.
Oh, okay. I was telling you, he seemed in a bad mood. You used to piss off Coach Saban, now you piss off Coach Smart. It's like you just move them around.
Is this real life right now? Like, is this audio that we're hearing real life? Yes, it is real life. It certainly is. He evidently pissed Kirby Smart off. That's Lane Kiffin and Paul Feinbaum going back and forth. Really funny stuff there. Yes, I don't know if it's a bit. I don't know if it's real, but nonetheless, it's really funny. Chuck says, maybe we pump the brakes. Charles Barkley, by the way, I'm talking about. Says, maybe we pump the brakes on naming Ant-Man the face of the NBA.
Don't try to make Anthony Edwards the face of the NBA. The face of the NBA is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Joker, and Giannis. You can't give it to people. They have to take it. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is taking it.
110% agree with Charles Barkley. 110% agree. I could not agree more. Let's see. Anything else here? Here's Nick Saban yesterday after his round of golf with Ryan Day of Ohio State.
How's it going with you and Coach Day, a couple national champion head coaches on the links?
It's great. You know, Ryan and I are pretty good friends, and glad to see him win the national championship last year. And I used to coach at Ohio State, so I got a little Buckeye in me. So it's great.
And seeing how, it's a different environment after winning a national championship. You have plenty of those of your own, 7 to count after Ryan Day got his first. A little bit of a pep in his step. What was it like getting that first one?
Well, I think it's a dream come true, but, we all reach new horizons, and once you do it once, then you think you can do it again, and you know what it takes to deal with the success that comes with winning, and that'll be the challenge for him and his team this year.
It will be the challenge. How many times do we talk about not only is it tough or difficult getting to the mountaintop, staying there? That would have been a pretty entertaining round of golf. It would have, to hear the conversations between Nick Saban and Ryan Day yesterday. All right, Tolos, that's enough audio. The audio blitz concludes because we're going to run to a break, and we'll be joined by Reggie Chapman Jr., good friend of the show. You've heard him on here before. It's been a while. He's an Atlanta sports anchor and reporter for 11 Alive News. Let's hit the panic button again. I don't know if we can hit it again. I've already hit it once this year, but Atlanta Braves, they lost. They're probably going to lose again today. They play twice. We'll talk Braves with Reggie Chapman Jr. next. Well, the Atlanta Braves Game 1 is in the books, and the series is officially over as the Philadelphia Phillies have taken 2 of 3 from the Atlanta Braves. It's a bad day, bad week. It's been a bad season. We all know that, right? It's what we have come to expect. To talk Atlanta Braves with us right here on the Fan Upstate, we bring in Reggie Chapman Jr. He is a sports anchor and reporter in Atlanta for 11 Alive News. Reggie, as you can tell, I'm pretty down. I'm a lifelong Atlanta Braves fan. I'm pretty upset about the current state of the Atlanta Braves. You hear the news about something popping and the elbow of the starting pitcher today, Smith-Shawver. When it rains, it pours, or at least that's what it feels like. Are you here to tell me that I'm crazy, or am I the only one out here hitting the panic button?
No, I'll tell you, you're not nearly the only person that's hitting the panic button, man. I mean, look, it's absolute chaos. I mean, the team has lost 6 of the last 7. It's frustrating ways of it happening too, right? I mean, you think about that. Game 1 of that series against the Padres, and Ronnie comes back, and all the energy is good. He hits that home run. They end up losing in the 9th off that Machado home run. I mean, the other night they get shut out again. And then, of course, this game, they show some fight, make it all the way back, and then for the last couple of nights it's been either a hit by pitch or a walk batter that have been kind of the difference. Every day it's something. And then to add today the fact that just Smith-Shawver, like you mentioned, said that he felt like something popped. We're, of course, going to be monitoring that as the game just ended, of course, like you said. So we'll just see what's going to be what they say about that. But, I mean, look, it's a frustrating time, and you're upset for a good reason. I understand why.
A lot of Atlanta Braves fans probably upset. Let's start with, man, there's so much to get into with this Braves team. Let's start with the return of Ronald Acuna Jr. You're right, for a brief period of time, it felt like, man, there's some energy, there's some hope. Acuna's back. He hits a home run. He hits another one the next game. Maybe there's some positivity, some things to build upon, Reggie. However, Ronald Acuna's return in the small sample size of him being back has not jump-started this Braves offense. In your mind, is it unfair to put that weight on his shoulders to expect one player to be able to jumpstart this Braves offense?
I wouldn't say it's unfair, mostly because of the fact that he's a player that is generational, right? I mean, he's one of those guys that when you put him on a roster or take him off of a roster, it absolutely changes not only like what the lineup looks like, knowing you've got that kind of star power in the lineup, it also changes just the overlook and outlook of what the team looks like, right? I mean, you go on the road to certain places, it's like, okay, like the Braves are coming to town, right? But it's a little bit different when Ronald Acuna Jr. comes to town, right, alongside the rest of the Braves organization. At the end of the day, he's one of those superstar players that needs to be, I guess, in that same category as a guy that you'd expect to help jumpstart what this team is. And I'll be honest, I think so far in his time so far, he's doing his best. I mean, he's making plays in the outfield. He showed off the arm a couple different times. I mean, that home run that he hit, I'm watching from the stands that day actually because I was off work, and I get to my seats and I see it fly 1,000,000 feet into the bleachers. I'm thinking, man, this team might be back. Is it too late for him to try and win MVP? At the end of the day, though, he's playing. I think he's doing all he can really do at this point. I think you can only influence everybody else so much. I think the bats have been really an issue, really over this last little stretch here, and it's something that he can play well. But I mean, if you're not getting the production from guys like Michael Harris II, if you're not getting production from guys like Ozzie Albies, you want big stuff from. I mean, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna's got to be a star, and it feels like while some guys are picking and choosing what days they want to perform, you need more consistency across the board. And while Ronald can really help that, somebody's going to have to help drive him in sometimes as well.
Yeah, Reggie, you mentioned Michael Harris there. I remember, when the Braves were coming out of that rebuild and you start getting really good pieces and you get Ronald Acuna and you fast forward a couple of years and you have this guy and Michael Harris, you sign him to a big deal. And man, the sentiment was that this guy is going to be really, really good. He might not be Acuna good, but he's going to be really good. It's been a little bit disappointing when it comes to Michael Harris. Is it too early to use the B word and and talking about maybe not a bust, but maybe let's use the M word instead and say a miss on the part of the Braves. Not him not being a good player, but him not being what the Braves thought they had.
I think it's too soon. Okay. Mostly just because there's not one person I think that when they sign that contract that they think, wow, they've overpaid for this kid and it's too early to give him this contract. I think it's worked in the similar model that we've always kind of seen from the Braves and what AA likes to do, where he wants to try and once he sees some sort of flashes and some pop, he tries to sign you then and there to make sure to get you under a contract that is not in the Juan Soto range of things, right? Not something ridiculously and crazy. They only pay for a couple players here and there. Outside of that, because Ronald Acuna Jr. was $100 million, but he should definitely be in that $250, $300, $400 million range, right? That type of player, right? But they got him early. And I think they thought that similar thing would happen with Michael Harris. Like you said, not the same exact type of player, but a player that had showed some flashes with the bat, and then they knew no matter what defensively he would be able to do enough. Now, mind you, I do say the bat is something he's gonna have to figure out for sure. The good news is that he made a play like today where he robbed a home run in center field. I think that at the end of the day, it's not our money also, which makes it a little bit different as well. But also it's not like he's not contributing. As long as the defense is there, that keeps him necessary to keep out in the field, especially in center field. But I think the bat is something that can absolutely come back, and it's something that we've seen over the course of his young career, and it's something that I'm sure a couple of tweaks here and there, and it can help him get jump started. He's not the only one struggling, so
no, he's not.
It can't just be him.
He's not the only one by any means. We'll get into a few of those others that are struggling. As we're joined right now on the Fan Upstate by Reggie Chapman Jr. of 11 Alive News. Reggie, this Braves offense a couple of seasons ago was prolific. You talk about being so good they broke records. They were historically good a couple of seasons ago. In your mind, how do you explain the change in the MLB, the change in what's happened with the Braves offensively? You talk about the players slumping, that's one thing, but the advanced metrics, they tell the real story. Atlanta has one of the highest whiff rates in baseball, especially on fastballs up and breaking balls down. They're chasing pitches outside the zone. The team's barrel percentage is down, meaning they're just not squaring up on the ball like they used to. And when you combine that with a ton of more advanced metrics like BA BIP, and you look at all these slugging metrics, it's way down. It's concerning. There are a lot of red flags, not just talking about the stars that aren't performing. What can you attribute this team just not being the same offensively to?
Well, that's funny because I remember when we were talking heading into this season, I pointed out literally that 2023 season and said, look, most of this roster is the same at the end of the day. How much different should it look? Last year, a lot of injuries. All these guys have been playing this year. So, at this point, we got to start looking at other things and trying to get creative, right? We can look at certain things. The coaching staff looks a little bit different, right? Stitt, of course, is still at the top. But you look at we've got a new hitting coach, new first and third base coaches, as Ron Washington ended up going to the Angels. There's different people, I guess, in the clubhouse. And you also wonder if there's anybody in that clubhouse that can really, I guess, is maybe the biggest leader, I guess. That's kind of the weird thing that you think about a Braves organization that's always felt well-run and not always, but in the last little time here, it's felt well-run and everything's been on the right track. So it's at this point, it's just guessing at this point. There's nothing that you can really pinpoint exactly other than the fact that the one thing that is different is some of that coaching staff, right? I thought an interesting stat I saw coming in the game that just kind of showcases just how poor they've been hitting. The Braves, and this is from Mark, I had to Mark Bowman from MLB from tweeting this out earlier. Coming into today, he said the Braves had gone 11-10 over the stretch while constructing the Major League Baseball's fourth best ERA. 11-10 while having the fourth best ERA at 2.85 coming into today. The pitching staff is doing what they need to do to win games. And if the bats can't show up, something's going to have to change. I know the 2023 team is magic, and it's something that, something they're going to continue to hang their hat on and say, look, this is what it's supposed to look like. But unfortunately, if it continues like this, at a certain point, you have to wonder if big changes are on the way.
You certainly do. How much do you think there should be made about assistant coaches not being there? Because this has been brought up on our text line several times throughout the course of the season. You mentioned Ron Washington and Eric Young Sr. not a part of the team anymore, and the little things. That's what Ron Washington was known for. That's what Eric Young Sr. was known for. The Braves sometimes struggle with those little things. How much do you think in 2025 in Major League Baseball, when the team is not playing well, like the Braves aren't right now, like they're not playing well, how much do you put on assistant coaches? I mean, coaching still matters, right?
Yeah, it absolutely still matters. And the thing about it, especially with those guys that you mentioned, those are, while they're great coaches, of course, and they make sure that they teach the right things in the right position and stuff like that. I think more than anything is they're culture guys that help keep people accountable, right? I think we've always known Snit as a manager that has been, I don't want to say hands off, but he's a guy that allows his players to play, and he allows his coaches on his staff to be able to do their jobs, and that he is just a man on top, making sure that the vibes are good, making sure that what needs to be put out fire-wise need to be put out, and then of course on game day, making the correct decisions from the dugout. I think that when you've got a coach like that and a team that, you lose some of those big name guys that were maybe those big leaders. I mean, I hate bringing up the Freddie Freeman thing because it's not super relevant, but just an example, right? Freddie Freeman or Dansby Swanson, these guys that were like the known leaders on the team are no longer there. And so it was fine when those assistant coaches were still there, but now, especially since now we're just searching for answers, you start to wonder how much of an impact that is. And I'll be honest, I think it has to mean a lot considering I think Ron Washington, Eric Young, they were guys that really held guys accountable, especially the young guys, to try and keep on track, but also while making sure they felt good enough and could help turn things around for these guys as well. I don't know.
Glue guys, right? Glue guys. That's the thing. That's what you're describing. They're glue guys. They were glue guys for the Braves. And you also had glue guys and Freeman and culture builders and setters and guys who were literally glued to the team, Dansby Swanson. And now all of those glue guys are not there, coaches and players included. In terms of the big picture, stepping back away from that panic button that I've hit like 19 times this season, Reggie, where do you think the Braves are in contention after today? I believe they're, 10.5 back after today's loss?
Yeah, they're definitely in a tough spot. I mean, clearly they're in a tough spot. Like I said, losing 6 of their last 7 puts you in a position where you're really starting to wonder. I think the thing is, though, it sounds crazy because we're looking at what's going on, right? We're seeing it in front of you. But unfortunately, I think because of the prior success and because of the money that we know that the organization has put in, and we know that the investment that they put into certain players, and we've seen the players produce. I think one of the interesting things that Snit always says is, like, you look at the back of these guys' baseball cards, they can play. And so I think in my head, I still have, and this is just me, I still have a hard time believing that this is going to last. I'm one of those guys that's kind of glass half full. That I still feel like the pieces are still there to be able to do something. I mean, like, actually, I'll give you an example, right? Here in town, Atlanta United's been off to an historically bad start, our MLS team here in town, and just terrible season start of the year. They had not won a match since over the weekend. They won their first match since the end of March. And yet they won that match against the top 2 team in the East, and then against another team yesterday that had not lost a match in the last 12. And it feels like their season's turning around. There's a lot of time left in that season. There's still a lot of time left in this Braves season. And I feel like at some point you think they would turn it around, but, I haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm ready to give up.
Yeah. I'm with you. What do you make the overall sentiment around Matt Olson? He's been a big problem in 2025. We saw flashes of this last season. He certainly doesn't look like the same Matt Olson from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's been surprising too. I mean, and look, and I hate timing-wise too because, like I said, it feels like every time Freddie Freeman does anything, or they play against the Dodgers, and there's always that conversation like, they shouldn't have traded Freddie. Matt Olson's a bum. I mean, which is not true at all. Matt Olson's one of the better first baseman all baseball. He's a Gold Glove level player out there. He hits the ball well. Of course, had that crazy 2023 season. Everything's there, but once again, it's one of these deals where it's almost inexplainable what's going on. Like, it has to be something that we're not seeing. It has to be something that we don't know. I can't understand why this many players are this inconsistent. And, you mentioned pressing that panic button, man. That's probably the name that I've seen the most people freak out about with these at-bats. Like, when he came up here in the ninth today, I was like, man, like, people are going to be upset if he doesn't do anything. So
yeah.
It's inexplainable, honestly. But it's something that, once again, he's gonna have to figure out. There's nobody behind him or nobody that's in the pipeline that you're thinking, let's go fill him in for Matt Olson instead. He's got to figure it out, and somebody's gonna have to push the right buttons to make sure he does so.
Reggie, my last question for you: is there any truth in your mind to maybe a growing feeling that this could be the final year, the final season for Brian Snitker?
I don't know, man. And that's everybody says that though. I mean, You think about the year they won the World Series, people were saying that in the middle of the year they shook back, and then man, I know they gave him a little bit of leeway the next season, but people were thinking that then. I think overall there's a general reaction, especially with baseball fans, where it's, if the team isn't playing well, it's time to just get rid of the manager and just see what's next, right? And I don't know if it's time to think that or say that or even have that be the case going forward. I think at the end of the day, it's one of these situations where I think Snit also recognizes his position and where he's kind of at. And, like, it feels like at the end of every year, it's that conversation. It's like, how much longer are you going to keep doing this? And it feels like he looks at it every year. I have a hard time believing they would fire him. I think that would just be, especially mid-season. If anything, maybe wait to the end of the year and maybe he decides or we see what direction they go. But I don't see, based on all that Snit has done and as a manager and what he's meant to this organization as a lifer, I don't see them making any kind of rash moves like that to where they have to get crazy and clear house at a point like this.
Reggie, you're the best, man. Always appreciate you taking time to hop on with me, and let's do it again soon.
Thanks again, man. I appreciate it. Talk
Absolutely
soon.
Appreciate you, Reggie Chapman Jr. of 11 Alive News in Atlanta, bringing some positivity, a positive outlook, glass half full kind of guy. I like that. Definitely need that because it's needed. 10.5 back now for the Atlanta Braves. Appreciate Reggie for taking time to hop on with us. Don't forget Tolo's 5 o'clock Tolo Takeover. Your chance to take over these airwaves. But next, the top stories, the top headlines in sports. It is our Daily Wires. Well, it's time to look around the sports world, see what's happening, the headlines, except on this show, we don't call them headlines. We call them daily wires. Diesel's supposed to say, but he's not here. He's on vacation. I'm Cole Bryson. I'm solo this week. Diesel will be back at some point next week, but let's rock and roll Tolos. Hey, we really need the interaction at 5 o'clock. Y'all have been a little slack today. Not going to lie on the interaction. So at 5 o'clock, Tolo Takeover, I'm handing you the microphone. If you take it, great. If you don't, guess it'll just be dead air. Dead air is all it's going to be, right? Tolo Takeover in about 15 minutes on the show. Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte commented on why he didn't want the Ohio State game moved to Sunday. He said, why would I want to move a game to a Sunday night and have a short week? I've got to go to church. So he was very clear that he don't like this. He don't like this playing on a Sunday thing. Texas basically said no thanks to that. Just in earlier today, South Carolina's first 2 home games of the 2025 football season will be under the lights at Williams-Brice Stadium. The Southeastern Conference announced today the Gamecocks home opener on Saturday, September 6th against in-state FCS South Carolina State will kick at 7 p.m. It'll be on the SEC Network. Eric Bakich announced today that he will start Drew Titsworth on Friday versus USC Upstate and hold Aiden Canuck for later in the weekend. Last night in the NBA, the Thunder defeated the Timberwolves 124-94. They've punched their ticket to the NBA Finals. Last night in the NHL, boy, I watched, but the Hurricanes, not good. Not good. They had a lead. They were up 2-0, but they blew it. The Florida Panthers took down the Hurricanes last night 5-3. They won the series 4-1. Florida will now await the winner of Edmonton and Dallas to see who they will face in the NHL Finals. Tonight in the NBA, the Knicks will look to rally down 3-1 to the Pacers. New York is favored tonight, believe it or not. 4.5 points is what they're favored by. The Atlanta Braves, guess what? Not good news. They've already played once today, and they've already lost once today. The Braves lost to the Philadelphia Phillies. They lost the series. The score was 5-4. Game 2, 6:45 tonight on MLB Network. We'll see. I don't know, man. It's tough. We just talked to Reggie Chapman Jr. My hopes are down on the Braves. Speaking of baseball, Major League Baseball is purchasing an equity stake in the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, partnering with the league that is preparing for its first 4-team season and plans to expand in future years. With women's sports revenues now in the excess of $1 billion per year, the MLB hopes to establish the AUSL as a viable long-term entity. In a sport that has seen multiple professional leagues fold, MLB's stake in the AUSL is more than 20%, a source told ESPN. The MLB will assist the AUSL in marketing, content distribution, in addition to the financial component. Really cool to see that for the game of softball. In Lake Forest, the Chicago quarterback Caleb Williams announced on Wednesday that he was defending his commitment to the organization that drafted him number 1, despite all of the talks in the last few weeks about that's where quarterbacks go to die. He said it was a distraction and has been a distraction the past few weeks. In Baltimore, the Indiana Fever, they knew it would be tough without Caitlin Clark. It was tough. Game 1 without her, guess what? Not good. Indiana fell 2-3 on the season with an 83-77 loss on Wednesday to the Washington Mystics, who hosted the first WNBA game in Baltimore at the CFG Bank Arena. The Mystics have moved 4 games to larger venues this season, while DC's Capital One Arena undergoes renovations. How about that? The Hub City Spartanburgers defeated Winston-Salem last night 7-6 at Fifth Third Park in Spartanburg. The Burgers are back in action tonight, 6:35 p.m. first pitch. Gates open in Spartanburg at 5:30. How about this college baseball news for you? Longtime Virginia head coach Brian O'Connor has emerged as the clear front runner to be the next baseball coach at Mississippi State, per Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball. Last Daily Wire for you. I love this, man. This is ending on a good note. This is awesome here. The College Football Hall of Fame will lower its win percentage from 60 to 59.5%, making Mike Leach eligible to join. I mean, how cool is that, man? How cool is that? Mike Leach, man, one of the best ever. I don't care what his record is. That guy, man, he was just awesome. He was awesome, and we all miss Mike Leach and what he did for college football. So shout out to the College Football Hall of Fame lowering the win percentage. In the World Series, the softball World Series, Tennessee leads Oklahoma 3-1, top of the sixth. Texas beat Florida 3-0. Tonight, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, and Oregon, UCLA. I'm going to tell you what, man. If you don't watch college softball, today's a fun day. This weekend's going to be a lot of fun. College softball is so fun to watch. It really is. So we'll keep you updated on that. Tolos, it's your chance. It's your turn. It's your time to take over these very airwaves. The Tolo Takeover is next. Phone lines are open at 844-326-3663. You can call in and gripe, complain, talk sports, talk non-sports, whatever it might be that you want to talk about. You can do so right now. Phone lines are open, and it's time for the Tolo Takeover. That's next. Well, I've talked. I've spoken. I've made your eardrums bleed for 2 hours today, so I'm going to step back away from the microphone. Really, I am. I'm going to step away, and I am going to let you Tolos out there, which, by the way, stands for turn on, leave on. That's what you loyal listeners are, Tolos. I'm going to let you Tolos take over. We do this on Thursdays at 5 o'clock, and guess what? If you did not know, if you have not heard, it's Thursday, and it's 5 o'clock. The phone lines are open. 2 Tolos on hold right now, but I am calling on you, other thousands of Tolos out there. If you want to hop in, if you want to take over, it can be good, positive, sports-related. It doesn't matter what it is. It's your opportunity to take over these very airwaves and maybe become a radio star and be better than me, which isn't hard. Let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. Let's start with Daredevil. He called in first, and Daredevil gets the floor first today. Daredevil, what's up, man?
Cole, I've been a radio star over 25 years, brother.
You
I'm just
have
here to
been.
help you out.
You've
Here's
been
the
a
deal,
radio
man.
star for a long, long time.
I've known you for at least a decade. Now, you put my Braves down, Cole, and I listened to the whole game. We could have won it. It wasn't our fault. Our starting pitcher got hit. So here's what's going to happen, sir. If enough of your Tolos will jump on my YouTube channel, I'm going next week. If you start talking about the Braves, I'm going to be ready outside. I'm going to shoot the radio while you're bad-mouthing my Braves. Now, what I want your Tolos to do is get on, subscribe to my channel. I just started Sunday. They're going to vote. Do I use a 22 Magnum, a 357 Magnum, an AK-47, or a 12-gauge with 3-inch Magnums?
Oh, this might be the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So what you're
I'm
doing...
not going to include some... I ain't shooting my 44 Smith. Yeah. It's too nice a gun, and I'm not quite ready to handle it. But I'm going to take the radio out. If I can't hit it with the AK or one of them other ones, I will use the 12-gauge with 3-inch Magnums, and that radio will disappear forever.
So basically what's happening – I love this, by the way. I love this. What's happening, what you're describing, Daredevil, is if I continue to badmouth the Braves, you are going to literally shoot your not inside, right? Not inside.
No.
Okay.
No. I got too many puppy dogs. No, I'll have to lock them in. No, it'll be outside. And I got to find a radio out that's worth destroying. I may have to hit some yard sales. What I want you to do is get them on my YouTube channel that's brand new. Get them to subscribe.
Please, I've subscribed. I know
you have, and I'm over 100 since Sunday. I'm getting a good start. I guess they know I'm totally blind, but I will hit that radio with one of those guns. I want them to tell me. They get to vote, 22, 357, AK-47, or 12-gauge, because all blind people should have these, and I have them.
And by the way, plug here on one of your videos, it is you shooting the gun, like I think we talked about. Yes, it's you shooting in the backyard, and it's for a blind man shooting a gun. It's pretty comical. I mean, is it bad? Do you feel bad? Let me ask you this: for people that watch this video of you shooting these guns, which, by the way, the videos are so comical. Is it wrong for us to just laugh our butts off?
No.
Okay, good.
Well, the first phone call I got was, "You idiot. Why didn't you hold it right?" I said, "Because I've never seen anyone hold a 357 Colt King Cobra before." As soon as I pulled that trigger, I knew immediately what I did wrong. But Colt, I know you got more callers. You tell them the YouTube page, get them, or whatever you call it, get them to subscribe, and they can vote on what gun I'm taking your radio out with.
Is Blind Man Live, is that right?
Yeah, at the Blind Man Live. Subscribe to it, because if you don't, it ain't helping me none.
So one of the potential future videos could be me talking about the Braves and being a little
I'm
bit
gonna
down.
have you on the phone when I'm shooting.
Oh no! Oh my gosh, that's gonna be even better.
It's gonna be on air, sir. I mean, what good is it if it ain't live? It's called the Blind Man Live for a reason.
Yeah. You're right. I'm speechless. I'm truly speechless. That would be Daredevil. That truly would be embarking on radio history.
It's going to happen next week, sir, if the weather cooperates.
I can't
I'll
wait.
see you, buddy.
Thanks, Daredevil. That's, man, it's hard to beat that. Hard to beat that kind of phone call right there. The Tolo Takeover, bam, starting with a bang there, quite literally, with Daredevil at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's FANFONE. 844-326-3663. 3663. We'll say that's going to be tough to follow. Daredevil's the best. He's so funny, man. And those YouTube videos he's talking about, they are quite comical, that's for sure. The Tolo takeover continues. Phone lines are open. JD wants to take over these very airwaves. What's up, JD?
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
My goodness, what a phone call.
Was
there.
that not sensational?
And it was. My question yesterday was, can the blind man see better than Matt Olson? Because Matt Olson either misses the ball or hits it a mile. There's no in between.
It's funny. Can I interject? It's funny you brought that up. There is one of his videos, and I've known Daredevil a long time. One of his videos on his new channel is him hitting a softball, and he did. He cracked it. He did, man. I couldn't believe it. I don't know exactly how. Maybe tomorrow he can explain how he did it, but he did. I was impressed. I really was.
Right. Well, I'll definitely hit subscribe on him. And since we're throwing out YouTube channels, you other Tolos, y'all can find me at Southern Fried Sports JD as well. We try to mix a little sports and comedy. And the reason, though, I called, Cole, is I will forever love the upstate. Man, we drove down to Charleston last night, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I got out of the car, I was completely and utterly disrespected. The humidity almost made me get back in my car and drive back home.
Oh, yeah.
You're
there now?
Yeah, we're down. Yeah, I'm in Charleston now.
I'm jealous, though. I love Charleston, man.
Yeah, it's a great thing. We're down here for a wedding, so I've already dealt with Highway 17 traffic.
No.
It took me 15 minutes to go downtown a minute ago.
What part of Charleston are you in?
We're at West Ashley currently.
West Ashley. Did you run into Tom in Somerville?
No, I have not ran into Tom. We'll have to give him a call though. We'll have to maybe meet up with him on.
Listen,
on the way
think
out.
Tom in Somerville has been MIA as of recent, but I do recall last week him telling us about him going on a trip to like Montana or Wisconsin or somewhere far off. So I think Tom in Somerville is way off in the middle of nowhere. I don't know that for sure, but I do believe I remember him saying that. But I love Charleston, man. The food, I mean, come on, shrimp and grits, little low country bowl while you're down there. You're not getting any. I mean, I love Charleston.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have. I think we're doing barbecue tonight, and then we've got a wedding tomorrow. So there's no telling what's gonna be on the menu.
You're going to Charleston? Whoa! You're going to Charleston and eating barbecue?
Well, it's a rehearsal dinner. I don't have a choice.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You're not choosing the menu. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
Wifey's cousin's getting married, but yeah, I'll be around the Citadel this evening.
Oh, is that where it's?
Right here.
That's nice.
Yeah, they're getting married at a church off of 17, but the rehearsal party is down at the Citadel.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, so sports real quick, and I'll let you get some more callers in. Guys, anybody else who complains about the NBA Finals matchup? I don't want to hear it anymore. Okay?
Who's complaining? What are they saying?
Everybody's complaining about it being Indiana and OKC or, possibly. I guess they want to see New York more than Indiana. But listen, defense will be played in the NBA Finals if it's the Pacers and the Thunder. So sit back, enjoy some freaking basketball, and stop complaining. Y'all be blessed, not stressed.
Thanks, JD. In Charleston. JD's calling from Charleston. Chucktown. How about that? Calling from Chucktown. I don't know. I love Charleston. I know the humidity is not fun, but I do love me some Charleston. I really do. Especially the food, man. It's good. Hard to beat. All right, Tolos. Tolo Takeover continues at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. While I grab this call, I want to let you hear this audio from Caleb Williams addressing this most recent story. I don't know what it is, but this guy, he's interesting.
So to get this started, first let's start off with it is what everybody would love to ask about is this whole storm that happened. It wasn't something that we wanted to happen at this point. We're focused on the present. We're focused on now. We're focused on trying to get this ship moving.
Get what moving? What did he say? Oh, ship. Okay, gotcha.
But for this to come out, it's been a distraction. So coming up here and talking about it and addressing it is important today. And so that's what we're here to do. Next is all that went down.
All right, so Caleb Williams basically saying, all the stuff that his dad or whoever said about, that's where quarterbacks go to die. He's addressing it, saying he's sorry, saying it's been a distraction. I think it was the most recent ESPN story, but I don't know, man. They weren't wrong. It is where quarterbacks go to die. I think there's truth there. All right, back to the phone lines we go. We continue the Tolo takeover. Again, if you just got off of work on this cloudy third. Oh, it's raining now in Greenville. Lovely, lovely. It's raining now at 844 fan phones where you can reach us. But if you're just getting off work, you can hit us up at that number I just gave you. You can hit us up. Tolo Takeover. Your chance to take over the airwaves and maybe bag on Caleb Williams a little bit or not. Dewey wants to take over on this Thursday. Dewey, what's up, buddy?
Yes, I'm very angry. The Braves did it again. They lost, and their bullpen blew the game. It's time for Snicker to get fired and Alex Anthopoulos to leave Atlanta. It's time. And that other guy, the AJ guy who got injured, that's his fault because now who's going to be pitching now? No one. And because they let Max Fried go, and they just didn't make no signings during the off season. Now it's they made their beds and now they need to lay in it. And I'm gonna make some recommendations. We need to stop talking about the Atlanta Braves because they suck.
Ooh.
We need to find another baseball team to talk about. Maybe talk about the first place Detroit Tigers in the Central American Central Division, who's actually doing something because they actually sign players, unlike the Braves who don't sign nobody. And Acuna, next year's his last year, but Braves ain't re-signing him because Braves don't want to pay him.
Wow. Dewey, are you still there? Can I ask you some questions? That was a lot you threw at me. I don't disagree with you. Good news there. We're agreeing today. I do agree it's disappointing. The bullpen was not good. Snitker, I've had displeasure with Snitker for a while now. Who do you think we should start talking about instead of the Atlanta Braves? Better yet, I'll do you one better. Pretend, Dewey, this is your show. You're bringing it in. You're hosting the segment. What team should we talk about? The floor is yours.
We should talk about maybe the Dodgers because the Dodgers are actually winning. That would be a good start. And Freddie Freeman and all the good things he's doing. But then Shohei Ohtani, he's a crook, so maybe talking about the Dodgers ain't probably a good idea. But then you got a wholesome team like the Detroit Tigers who are actually in first place and doing some good, so we could talk about them.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
And then I would ban wrestling. We would not talk about wrestling on this show.
Do I talk wrestling, Dewey?
No, but you should. Then people can say you suck too.
But I have to watch wrestling in order to talk about wrestling, and I'm not watching wrestling. Do you watch wrestling?
No, it makes me sick.
Okay.
Because wrestling is fake.
Yeah.
Golf is fake.
Golf?
There's nothing. Golf.
Golf?
Well, golf ain't fake.
How's golf fake, Dewey?
Well, you put a little putt in a little hole, and then there's no skill to it. and they're nerds with flannel shirts on. They're rich. They all make millions of dollars to hit a puck. That's it. A little ball. White little ball.
Wider, what's your name?
And hockey's fake too. Hockey's a made-up sport because all they do is fight. It's rigged.
Dewey, I'm sorry for the pauses. I'm just laughing. I really am. I'm laughing. You're comical today. Good call. Do anything else before we let you go? Any final comments or last words?
Well, like I said, the Braves are done. Their season, in all seriousness, their season's done.
What about hey? What about Clemson baseball this weekend? We've talked a lot of Clemson baseball. I mean, they're in a regional. Is that okay with you?
Not really, but at least they're a better team than South Carolina. Pulmonary, that they're going to reap the day they decided to let Pulmonary coach another year. That's going to be the end of that's going to be the end of South Carolina baseball as we know it. Rob Brown even said that. I agree with him.
How many more years from today, Dewey, until the Gamecocks are hosting a regional?
Oh, probably 25 years.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Thanks, Dewey.
Oh.
Gosh, 25 years. A little extreme there. A little. But, are we surprised with it being Dewey? Oh, man, that's a great call. Great call. I did have one drop during Dewey, so if Tolo, if you want to get back in, you can at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. Not much time left in the Tolo takeover, so if you do want to get in, you better do it quickly. JD says on YouTube, the Braves will be laying in a grave, not the bed. How about this comment? I want to shout out Stephen Webb. I did this earlier in the week, but he comments on the live stream, which 130 of you are watching right now. Stephen Webb leaves a comment and says, "Cheers from Germany." I would say where in Germany, but I don't know how to pronounce that, Stephen. I'm not familiar with places in Germany. I apologize. But Stephen Webb watching the show on Facebook from Germany, that's pretty cool. JD just called in from Charleston. Tom in Somerville usually calls, but I think he's away like somewhere out west. Brother Contreras, who watches the stream, he's always toloing from the Bronx. So we're spaced out, Tolos. We're not just right here in the upstate, even though most of you are. And in the upstate, in Spartanburg, which you can listen on 97.1 FM and Greenville at 97.7. It's awesome. It really is. All right, let's see. Let's look on the text line here. 844-326-3663. Texter, this is Scotty from BMW. What's up, Scotty? He says, one question, Dewey, who's your dealer because you sound high? No, not Dewey. Dewey, I mean, it is the first time hearing Dewey. Scotty? Texter from the 978 says, Smith Shaver to 15-day IL with a strained right elbow. Where is the reset button for the 2025 season when you need it? Oh, yeah, or a dump button, right? Texter says, I've subscribed to the blind man. A couple other texts real quick. Let me grab this phone call, though. I guess we have time for one more, right? One more? Mm-hmm. What's your name? All right, Big Kev wants to weigh in on the Tolo takeover. He will be the final one today, as we do have a guest coming up in a few minutes. What's up, Big Kev?
Man, what's going on, man? I don't know how to come behind, buddy. He rough, boy.
What do you do? How do you follow up Dewey?
Yeah, I don't know, and I just can't figure it out. I don't want to go over there and do it again. I just can't listen to it anymore. I can't do it. But,
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Do what you do, bro. Hey, man, we got Minnesota did it, man. How do you get beat by 9,000 points in a game like that, bro? Like,
yeah, they you know what? I will say, Kev, I was a little bit skeptical of taking the 8.5 points that Oklahoma City was favored by last night. I thought Minnesota would keep it close, but boy, was I wrong. That game was never close, not once. It was a blowout the entire time, and it was embarrassing. You're right. Oklahoma.
I thought I was tripping. I just kind of went through the scores, and I seen like 70-40 or something like that one time. I'm like, hey, man. I just went on and went by. If I go by a game and it's already a blowout, I'm gonna go ahead and go by it. If they come back in the fourth quarter, they come back. You up by 30. I just like that. Just don't go down well with me. Somebody finna go.
Yeah, you know what? It just shows though. Oklahoma City's for real. They're for real.
Oklahoma City for real, man.
They're the legit.
It's a changing of the guard now, man.
It is.
The young bucks have took over.
Yeah. They have.
Right.
Who do you like? I mean, we all know it's going to be Indiana getting past New York, right? If that's the case, I mean, what are you thinking? 7 games, Pacers and Thunder?
It might. I tell you what, if OKC keep getting better and better about a game, it might be a quick 4. Or it might be 5. I don't see it going 7 though, because I mean, don't get me wrong. Halliburton, them boys is really they hot and they playing together, and it could set up for a good. Because I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and look at some games, see if they played each other.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look at this. Because like I said, it's a change of the guard. Nobody saw this. Nobody was ever thinking that this is what it was going to come down to. So
no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Hey,
going back looking at, like, if you're a true sport fan, go back and look at some film and see what we got.
I'll go Oklahoma City, though. I'm going to go Oklahoma City to win it all.
Oklahoma. I'm jumping on that bandwagon, man. I am jumping on that thing.
Kev, when are we gonna catch a Spartan Burgers game? We need to.
When is the next one? When
tonight? Tonight, tomorrow.
It's one tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's
Friday. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Let's go here.
Well, I'm down. I'm down for it. I think we could get it. A Tolo trip to the Spartan Burgers. I really do. I think we could get more people going with us. It'd be a good time, right?
Hey, now that'll work. We pull up about 20, 30 deep. Man. I think that might be all right.
I know. I'm telling you, man. Kev, hit me up later. I think I'd love to go see the Burgers tomorrow night. Let's do it. Thanks for the call, man.
Say no more. I got you, bro. All right.
Tolo Takeover. It's a good one today. Good one. Really, really good stuff. Tolos, we're going to take a break, run off the break. Mike K. of the Charlotte Observer joins the show for the first time ever to talk Carolina Panthers and their OTAs. That's next. Time to shift the conversation to the NFL. Carolina Panthers, OTAs, it's happening. Football season, it's approaching. I know we're in the dog days, and it's going to only get more difficult as the summer continues. But Carolina Panthers OTAs are happening, and there's things to talk about, things to discuss within this franchise that some of you love, some of you do not love as much. And to talk about it, we're joined by the Charlotte Observer's Mike Kay. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm well. Can't complain. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Appreciate you taking time to hop on with me on this Thursday to talk a little Carolina Panthers football. Your biggest storyline that you've been watching thus far in OTAs?
Well, I think it's the development of the wide receiver room, right? The last 2 years, they've spent first-round picks on wide receivers. They even traded up for one 2 years ago to get a year ago, to get Xavier Legette, who had an up-and-down first year, hit a hard rookie wall, suffered through an injury. They went out of their way to upgrade the unit and grab a catch radius dynamo in T-Mac, as he likes to be called, McMillan. They also drafted Jimmy Horn in the 6th round. I think you're seeing kind of a maturation of Legette, as well as, Adam Thielen's just Adam Thielen, and he's going to make plays. So I think that's kind of the big storyline, especially when they're just throwing routes on air and there's no contact.
Yeah. No doubt about it. As we're joined right now by Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer. Mike, is it too early to gauge anything from the new guy in Hunter Renfrow right here in the upstate, Clemson Tiger alum, or do you still have to kind of see how things play out with him and how he looks?
So, just to give you some insight into how we are set up during workouts, we've only gotten to see him work out once.
Okay.
It was on Tuesday. They come towards us for a set of team drills and individual drills, and they go away from us for a set of team drills. And sometimes they're covered, so it's not as easy to see guys make plays. At least from what I saw in team drills, he wasn't really targeted that much. So it's going to be a work in progress. That doesn't mean that he's not excelling behind the scenes. I think, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But remember, you've got T-Mac McMillan at the top of the list. They're going to give Legette every opportunity possible to be a starter. Thielen's going to get his. He's just got a race to be a part of the offense. Coker's a guy they really, really like.
Yeah.
And then you've got David Moore and Dan Chizino, who are really good special teams players, and they very much covet special teams ability down there in that 4th, 5th, and 6th spots. So Hunter Renfrow is going to have to offer up some sort of special teams upside because he's not a top 3 guy. And, coming back after a year away, it isn't an easy task. And so it'll be interesting to kind of cover and watch how he kind of tries to rebound. But I do know that he has been well received within the wide receiver room. I think they really like him.
Mike, you had a really interesting piece a couple of days ago on the CharlotteObserver.com and on your Twitter about Rob Moore being over the Panthers wide receivers and T-Mac, you mentioned, and Xavier Legette. Misconceptions about both. I don't know if a misconception is what we heard, rumored, a couple of months ago around the time of the draft that they had to go get another wide receiver because they didn't feel like Xavier Legette lived up to expectations or could be a one. Was that part of those misconceptions, or what else could listeners find in that article?
Well, I think Legette is better off being a full-time gadget weapon along with being like a number 2. Like, he's a guy that, like Debo Samuel, where you want him to kind of be able to move around. He's not necessarily going to be a possession guy. He can make big plays behind the line of scrimmage. He can make plays in front of the line of scrimmage. But in order for him to do that, he needs a guy that can make plays down the field and open up the field. either with speed or with jump ball ability, and that's what McMillan is. I think you're looking at them trying to capture the sort of Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins sort of tandem wide receiver group, or Deebo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk, if you will, but just with different traits. I think when you have two guys who can make plays down the field but can also take a hit and keep going, that's really important, and I think that's what they're trying to cultivate. They also really, really needed speed, and McMillan's not that guy, but they bring in Jimmy Horn, who they're really, really excited they got. I had heard back at the East-West Shrine game in January how much they liked him. I sat on it because he was going to be a late-round pick, and I was like, whatever. And then they got him, and I just remember saying to myself, wow, I really should have put that out there a little bit more than I did.
Mike K joining me right here on the Fan Upstate, talking about the Carolina Panthers and their OTAs. You mentioned how you guys are set up with the media and what you can and can't see. Have you seen enough from Tet McMillan, or T-Mac, as you said he likes to be called, to be able to generate some hype about this first-round pick?
I think he's surprisingly agile in a way that I didn't think he would be on short routes. I don't know that I would ever call him fast, but I think he's elusive within traffic. He's very much a basketball player to me, or a volleyball player. Like, I think he understands body control. He understands, how to rebound, so to speak. And I think he understands how to use his body and contort it properly. The guy that deserves a little bit more hype coming out of this is really Mitchell Evans, their fifth-round pick tight end, who's another pass catcher, made a terrific contorted catch towards the end of the workout the other day. I think they feel really good about the three offensive weapons they added in this draft, and so far the returns have been pretty impressive.
Mike, when you look at the defensive side of the football, a lot of Panther fans thought the Panthers would go defense early in the draft. What has jumped off the page to you from a defensive standpoint thus far in these OTAs?
Not a whole lot, just because they can't be very physical. Smith-Wade, their fifth-round pick from last year, had an impressive pick over the middle off of Bryce Young in the middle of 11-on-11 drills. J.C. Horn, so T-Mac, I'm going to have to get used to that, ran like a 5-yard out, and J.C. Horn was immediately there and knocked the ball out of his hands. I think, speed and athleticism are really what stick out in OTAs, just because there's no contact. Lathan Ransom, I've been a little bit more impressed in the open field, because he's really known as like an enforcer, but I've seen him move really well in DB drills. An undrafted safety that I want you to look out for, though, is Jack Henderson. He's kind of built like a new age weak side linebacker, but he plays safety, and he is an incredible blitzer. I think you're going to be really surprised once you kind of see highlights of this kid. I think he's a really impressive find for them.
Hey, Mike, let's dive back into what you brought up a minute ago, a player that you brought up a minute ago with Coker. Not often do players that are undrafted turn into, number one guys, or, surprise the rest of the league. But what could be of Jalen Coker in 2025 in your mind, and how much of a project, if you want to use that word, what does he look like he's going to be?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Which player?
Jalen Coker.
Oh, yeah, Jalen. I think he projects long-term as Thielen's kind of replacement.
Gotcha.
So I think right now it's about playing a role. I think he can play the Z position. I think he can play the slot. I probably wouldn't put him on the line at the X position, but I think he can be a possession receiver. In Jacksonville over a decade ago, I covered Alan Hearns, and he kind of came up a similar way. Same with Keelan Cole. They had a lot of luck with undrafted wide receivers. So it's doable. Alan Hearns had a 1,000-yard season his second year in the league, so it's not like out of the question that he can explode. he's just going to have to earn snaps over Leggett and Thielen and McMillan, and that's going to be harder to accomplish, especially early now that he's dealing with a soft tissue injury.
Sure. Mike, what have you made, as we're joined right now on the Fan Upstate by Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer, what have you made of the relationship that is still new? It's a fresh relationship, but between Xavier Leggett and T-Mac, Tet McMillan, those two obviously are going to be spending a lot of time together in the wide receiver room. Any thoughts, any coverage, or have you been able to kind of be a witness to their developing relationship and how they're kind of getting used to each other?
Yeah, so it was really interesting. I don't want to say it looked like it was staged or forced, but like I think the second play of team drills, Leggett ran a deep post and caught a pass over the middle and just like ran it to the side, the opposing sideline, and McMillan was right behind him, and Leggett just threw it back to him, and they played catch a little bit, and then like joyously like laugh to each other. And I was like, well, that's something. And then they did it later on in the practice too. And then after the practice, Leggett called McMillan a quote masterpiece. And so he also said it's all smiles between them. So they're selling that they really love each other. Hopefully that's genuine for the Panthers' sake. But I do think they complement each other in a way that it will set each other up for success. I think if McMillan can, here's the thing, like McMillan, if he can impose his will on smaller corners, he will always be the bigger guy in the one-on-one matchup, and then eventually force double teams out of respect. That's going to open up stuff underneath for Leggett, and he's going to eat. Yeah. If Leggett continues to get open over the middle and make big plays and run over tacklers, then McMillan's going to get the single coverage, and he's going to get to take advantage of it. So it behooves them to not only get along but forge chemistry.
Without a doubt. Mike, last one for you before I let you run. Kind of a fun question here, or you can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
That's pretty presumptuous. We'll see.
How about a true or false to end the interview? Injury aside, okay? Injury not being taken into consideration. I tell you in 2025, Bryce Young will start every game for the Carolina Panthers. You would say true or false?
Injury aside, true.
Okay, I like it. I'm with you.
He's the guy. He's the guy. It's him.
That's good news. Good news to hear for Panther fans. Mike, great stuff. Always appreciate your time hopping on with me.
Thanks for having me.
Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer talking Carolina Panthers on this Thursday. Really, really good stuff there. That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear about Leggett and Tet McMillan. And by the way, he said he's not wanting to be called Tet McMillan. He's wanting to be called T-Mac. T-Mac, how about that? I like personally Tet McMillan better, but you know what? It's his name. T-Mac is the new name for Teteroa McMillan. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff there. If you missed any of that, you can go back on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. That's where you can listen to any segment. And they're even titled under the chapters section. You go to the Odyssey app, you type in the Fan Upstate, you click the Fan Upstate, and then you'll see the Rob Brown Show. You'll see Wire to Wire, and you can click that. And once you do, you'll see all of the chapters titled out and labeled out for you in case you missed anything on today's show or any show in the future. Did Scotty from BMW got on the stream? I'm trying to read and catch up the conversation between him and DB. It looks as if he did. A lot more coming your way. Final segment of hour number 3. That's next. rounding third, headed home in hour number 3 of the show. One more hour, Tolos, the final hour, the power hour, coming your way in about 15 minutes right here on the Fan Upstate. So good to be with you on this Thursday. How's the weather where you are? I'm looking out of the Fan Upstate studio window. Looks rainy, cloudy, blah. It's kind of been blah all week, right? I mean, we've just had blah weather. Give me some sunshine. Give me some heat. I'm ready for it, man. I really am. I need some vitamin sun. How about that? Let's go to the phone lines at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. DB wants to hop in and comment, moan, complain. I don't know what he wants to do, but what's up, DB?
Oh, no. I was just going to ask you a quick question. I was just wondering if you could give us a hint about this really cool guest you have lining up, and which NASCAR driver is it?
Good. That's funny. Good question. So I will tell you, DB, that's a good question because I have to go two different angles with this. Number one, the guest that I'm lining up, that I'm trying to get on, he has a busy schedule, so I did talk with him today. Believe it or not. And we're trying to get it done. He's just been very, very busy lately. He really has. And trying to get him on next week maybe. However, it's not a NASCAR driver, even though it's funny you bring that up, DB. Guess what? Say what?
What?
All right, so our sister station, we have multiple stations in this building, right? And one of our sister stations, the Rock Station, Stone Man. I don't know if you know who Stone Man is, but right down the hall, he interviewed Ross Chastain today on the Rock Station. So tomorrow, I'm going to bring that interview over here. I'm going to walk down the hall, dust off his old DVD, CD player, and grab that tape, that record, that cassette, and bring it down here and re-air it for you tomorrow. How about that?
That'll be interesting.
Ross Chastain, man.
The old cheaters guy had to say.
So let me ask you this: your thoughts on the Coca-Cola 600? Because I hadn't really talked to you about it yet. You grade it like an A, B. What do you give it?
Oh yeah, at least a B. I mean, you finally saw. Not finally. I mean, we've seen a couple other races where passing was possible.
Yes, thank goodness.
There was no true Larson's just going to lead for 95% of the race, or any other driver. So I'm not an anti-Larson guy, but yeah, it wasn't a dominant. I mean, Byron was dominant, but Hamlin came up and caught him from 20th all the way. He got to like 7th within the first stage, and then moved. He just kept moving up with pitting. And he had a fast enough car. I mean, Hamlin will say in his podcast, he's like, me and him are equal. It was just a matter of time until, obviously Hamlin screwed up, or his team screwed up with the fuel thing. And which you were right. Prime did a really awesome job showing us what happened there. But yeah, and then I don't Ross coming out of nowhere. That's crazy. I know a lot of people think that somehow Hamlin was involved with Byron getting past.
You don't think so?
Hamlin was a lap down. Well, I'll have to go back and rewatch it, but the way Hamlin describes it, he was already a lap down, and he was behind Byron. He never touched Byron. So how could he be responsible for doing something to Byron?
I'm not saying he was responsible. However, when I was watching it live, I did kind of laugh. Like, oh, look, Denny's right. He was a lap down, but he was right there in the mix with Chastain and William Byron. And I'm not saying like he affected it, but when you throw in another car, to what? I mean, I don't know. I think it was a good race, man. I really liked it. I give it an A.
No, overall, it's a good race. Yeah.
And Prime. What about Prime? Can we keep all of them on Prime?
I don't know yet, because there's some things that are missing. I mean, it's little minor stuff, like when you're watching qualifying, they haven't figured out the ghost car yet. That's just a little minor detail.
Yeah.
The in-car camera stuff's good, but that's all done by NASCAR, so that's in all of the broadcasts. It's just a matter of who decides to go to which cameras at which times. But I mean, their announcers are great. I mean, I like
Junior.
Dale. Junior's a great announcer, but he was great with NBC. He was great if he was even with Fox at one point. So, I mean, he's going to be great no matter where he goes. I forget who the others are. I know Carl Edwards, he's coming out of that pseudo, a NASCAR retirement. It's been, I don't know how many years. And
Carl was good.
Awesome. I mean, he's like, I feel like most former drivers, they are good at doing what they do.
Yeah.
And then they pull out the play-by-play people, which aren't usually a former driver. They're generally pretty good. Mike Joy's awesome. Back in the day, all those old school guys, when you go back and listen to some of those old races. But the part that sucks about all these different, CW, Prime, Fox Sports 1, NBC, you never know. Well, I mean, you do, but it's hard to keep track of where you're supposed to go watch it in some parts of the year. Like where my son is at, he doesn't have cable, so he can't watch Fox Sports 1. And, now he can watch them all on Prime and then NBC if he can get it over the air.
Sure.
So it's like all these different methods you have to go through throughout the year when it used to just be Fox.
No, I'm with you.
And you just watch it.
But hey, what about what about Carson Hocevar? I thought that was a great storyline Sunday night. He was awesome, man. I mean, he was right there until that engine blew.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was another contender. It would have been, I'd have been cool seeing him win. I don't mind Carson Hocevar. He's a new young up and comer that, I wouldn't mind seeing him succeed at all.
Spire's been fast lately, you know it. They've been fast. Spire has.
Mm-hmm.
They've had He'll win. He'll be fine. He'll get one here soon.
Yeah, I think he'll have a great career.
Yeah, I do too. DB, thanks, man.
All right, man.
There's your NASCAR conversation for the day, Tolos. Hey, one more hour to go. The final hour, Power Hour, hour number 4 of the show. That's next. One more to go. Final hour of the show coming right at you. Right here on the Fan Upstate. How about let's make this final hour the best one yet? The best hour of the show, Tolo. So good to be with you. I'm Cole Bryson on this Thursday evening. It's not afternoon anymore, is it? I don't know. What time, at what point in the afternoon do you stop calling it afternoon and it goes from afternoon to evening? Morning goes to noon, right? And then you have noon and it's afternoon. At what point does it change from afternoon to evening? That's a good question. Should I know that? Tolos? Maybe I should. I'm gonna guess 5. Is that right? Is that a good guess? 5 o'clock seems like the time where it changes from afternoon to. I don't know. Let me know. I'm gonna go with 5 there. I don't know if there's a certain time. Tolos, the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line is open, which, by the way, Spartan Burgers in action tonight against Winston-Salem in about 30 minutes right here on the Fan Upstate. Phone lines open as well at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. If you just got off of work from that wonderful job that you love so much or that one that you hate so much, either one. If you just tuned in, just got in your car, just turn that radio on. What's up? Good to be with you on this Thursday evening, night, afternoon. DB says, MR used to ask that question. I think we decided it's between 6 and 7. Really? See, that's later than I thought it would be. That's a lot later. That 6 to me is evening. JD says, right beside the Ashley River in Charleston with Cole and the YouTube on my radio. Well, how about that, JD? How about that? Shout out to JD watching the show, listening, watching whatever he's doing live from Chucktown, Charleston on this Thursday evening, noon, after evening. I don't know. No, DB, 6 to 7, that's too late, man. That's too late. At what time, if you just tuned in, we're asking the question, at what point does it go from afternoon to evening? I need to know. I need to know the answer to that. Maybe that's one of those ask Chat GPT kind of things. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only one out there, but I have fallen in love with Chat GPT. I know a lot of people don't like AI, but Chat GPT is the most helpful thing in my life. I mean, it is so helpful. It really is. It is the best. It is the absolute. Let's ask Chat GPT live on air. Let's do it. This is great radio, but let's do it anyways. It's the 6 o'clock hour. We get a little funky sometimes in the 6 o'clock hour. Hey, Chat GPT, at what time does afternoon become evening? What do you think, Tolos? I'm going to say 5. Let's see what Chat GPT says on this Thursday evening, because it's after 5, so I'm going to go ahead and say it is evening. Let's see. Afternoon starts at 12 p.m. That's not what I asked. It says there's no exact time when afternoon becomes evening. It's a gradual transition. Generally, afternoon is considered to end around 5 or 6 p.m., and the evening hours begin at that time. Some consider late afternoon to be around 4 to 6 p.m. I would agree with that. I'm going to go with 5. I'm going to land on 5 o'clock being my time of day where the afternoon ends and the evening begins. So we're on every afternoon. We're also on this radio show every evening. How about that? We're just that good. We're overlapping. Dewey on the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line said AI is the ultimate evil. You probably do believe that, Dewey. Let's see. Texter from the 909 says 5 p.m. It's evening. I'm with you on that, Texter. I'm rocking with you on that. I think you're right. 5 o'clock, it becomes evening. No longer is it afternoon. I'm with you on that. All right, let's look at these college baseball regionals coming up this weekend. I know Madcraft yesterday was asking if we were going to spend a little time on each regional and dive into that. We're not going to dive into every single regional because that might get a little boring, but there are some really interesting matchups this weekend. Number one, let's start with this. If you're not a college baseball fan, I'm not going to be the radio host that tells you what you should do and shouldn't do, but I will tell you, just give it a shot. Give it a try. Give it a try this weekend. If you're typically not a college baseball fan, turn on a little college softball tonight, like I've done already. I watched Tennessee a minute ago. And then turn on a little college baseball this weekend. I'm going to tell you what, it is hard to beat college baseball in the postseason. By the way, Oklahoma came back and beat Tennessee 4-3 today in softball in the World Series. Texas beat Florida 3-0. Ole Miss, Texas Tech tonight. Oregon, UCLA tonight. But no, anyways, give it a shot. If you're not a college baseball fan, give it a shot tonight because, not tonight, but this weekend because it's gonna be a fun weekend, man. You don't get these kind of matchups often. It is going to be, in my mind, electric, especially in Clemson. Look, the reality is Clemson, right here in the upstate, you're talking about one of the most interesting, one of the most intriguing regionals happening right here in our state. Really. Right here in our state, man. Right here in our state. I really do believe that. All right, here we go. Looking at these regionals, by the way, if you do give it a shot this weekend, if you do watch a little college baseball and you do enjoy what you're watching, come back and say, Cole, you were right. I don't get told that often, but give it a shot. I think you might be surprised. Let's look here at these regionals. Madcraft on the stream yesterday said he was going to do the Hattiesburg Regional. He was going to do a preview of the Hattiesburg Regional. Well, Madcraft's been MIA today. I mean, I saw him pop in the stream a couple of times. 147 Tolo's watching right now, by the way, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. But I hadn't seen old Madcraft as of late. So if you're going to preview the Hattiesburg Regional, Madcraft, you better wake up from your siesta. You better wake up. JD on the YouTube stream says, I honestly got blindsided by Vandy getting the number 1 overall seed. I totally get it, but it wasn't who I thought it would be. I would say top to bottom, Clemson Regional is definitely the best. Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely one of the best, JD. To your point about Vandy getting the number 1 seed, I'm going to throw this at you, JD, and Tolos. I think I'm right on saying this. I'm not looking, so I might be wrong. I'm scratching my forehead to see if I can pull a little more knowledge out of this head of mine. But JD, to your point about the Vanderbilt Commodores being the 1 seed, I think, and again, I'm pulling this out of the ether. I may be right, I may be wrong. I think I'm right. I think the number 1 overall seed has only won the whole thing twice in the history of the tournament. In the history of the postseason. I could be wrong on that. I might look like an idiot, and it might be like 104 times. But I'm pretty sure that the number 1 overall seed, Vandy, and then somebody like in 2001. I'm going to close my eyes and see if I can remember who it was. Was it Miami? Was it Miami who won it? Maybe in Miami. I don't know. I'm just thinking that. But anyways, my point being, the number 1 overall seed in the college baseball postseason doesn't win a lot. I was wrong. It just came to me. It was Tennessee last year. And I think Miami in like 01. Vandy, I think I misspoke. Vandy has not ever won the college baseball postseason as the 1 seed. The 2 they won, the 2 World Series that Vanderbilt won, they did not enter the postseason as the 1 seed. The 2 teams that I believe have won the postseason, have won the World Series, entering the postseason as the number 1 overall seed, I'm going to go with Tennessee last year and Miami in 2001. I am pulling that out of the ether. I really am. I really am. I don't know if that's right or not, but somebody will let me know on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Texter says, let's see, this comes from Bubba Brooks 96. What's up, Bubba Brooks? 86. I'm sorry, I can't read. Bubba Brooks, good to hear from you. He says morning is 6 to 12, afternoons 12 to 5. Yeah, I got that. Evenings 5 to 9, and night is 9 to 6. That comes from Bubba Brooks. How about that? I think I agree with you. I think I do. Joey texts the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. He says it's happened twice in the last 25 years, and those were the Was I right? Was I right? Let's see the stream. JD says, yeah, you're correct. It's been one or two of those teams. I think the most recent. Did I get that right, Joey? Did I hit it on the head there? There's no way. I'm going to be proud of myself because those watching on the stream can see me. I'm sitting here with my eyes closed, scratching my head. I just pulled 2001 Miami out of the ether. I think I read that somewhere. I was expecting to be told I was wrong on that, as in one seed that's entered the postseason as the one that ended up winning the whole thing. So if I'm right on that, I'm really impressed. Really impressed. I'm not right often, so I'll take that one. So 0-1 Miami and 2020, what was last year? 2024 Tennessee. The only one seeds to win it in the last, 25? That is awesome. That's a cool stat, man. College baseball postseason. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's look at the regionals happening this weekend, by the way. JD says, I do think it's Miami, but I'm not positive. I want to say 99 for some reason. You might be right. I don't know. Nashville. Let's take a look. I want to hear from you, Tolos. What are your thoughts on these regionals as I go through them? In the Nashville regional in Tennessee, you have number 1 Vandy versus Wright State. ETSU and Louisville. I think that's a decent regional. I don't think it's as good as the Clemson regional, but I think Vandy will come out of that no problem, right? Wright State, a good team, but I think Vandy will advance from there. Let's see if there's anything else right here on this Nashville regional that I missed. Yeah, Vandy, the number 1 seed. I think JD said it. I do believe they will. I believe they'll come out on top. I was trying to look and see if there was anything interesting or anything intriguing about that old Nashville regional that Vandy's hosting. But let's see. Vanderbilt, one of the best pitchers in the country, right, okay. Let's see. Most exciting player, they say. Here's something interesting about that regional. They say this is from NCAA.com. The most exciting player to watch in this Nashville regional will be center fielder out of Louisville, Lucas Moore. I think I've heard that name. They say he's an absolute beast at the top of the order, leading the team in batting average at .373. Lucas Moore has an on-base percentage of .470. He's stolen 46 bases this season, which is pretty impressive. 46 steals were the second best in the entire nation. He was caught stealing only once during the 2025 season. That's impressive, right? Only caught stealing once. He also has a tremendous amount of speed in center field. Not surprising there if he's the one stealing all those bases. They said the best hitter in this regional is Cooper Torres out of ETSU. Really? How about that? Didn't expect that. Batting .378. Well, that is impressive. Best defensive player, Jonathan Vastine, shortstop out of Vandy. You know, Vandy's produced some pretty good shortstops, right? Dansby Swanson. And then the best pitcher, J.D. Thompson out of Vandy. He's going to be a first-rounder, low 90s, fastball to mid-90s, 15 starts this year, 5-5, 4.06 ERA. Really good guy, really good pitcher in J.D. Thompson. I have heard a lot about him. But that is the Nashville regional. Again, I do think they come out of that. I don't see them struggling much there. I really don't. ETSU, JD's high on them. Yeah, they're good, but Vandy's good too, man. Vandy's tough. The Hattiesburg Regional has Miami versus Alabama, and then Columbia versus Southern Miss. I don't know if you Tolos know or not. Southern Miss is a powerhouse. They're a 40-plus win team. They're a really good team. Tallahassee Regional, Florida State, Bethune-Cookman, Mississippi State Northeastern. Give me Florida State to come out of that regional because that's a cakewalk. We've talked about that. JD mentioned it the other day with Grayson Mann when he was on. Florida State got the draw, right? They got the draw. That one's favorable, if you will. Corvallis Regional in Oregon, Oregon State, St. Mary's, Southern Cal, and TCU Oregon State should come out of that, but you never know. I mean, those West Coast teams, you watch out for Southern Cal and TCU, I don't know a ton about, but you never know. Chapel Hill Regional, North Carolina, Holy Cross, Nebraska, and Oklahoma, Eugene Regional, and Oregon, Cal Poly in Arizona, Oregon State, Utah Valley. And then how about the Conway Regional baseball fans, college baseball fans? This one's interesting. The Conway Regional tomorrow, East Carolina versus Florida at noon. And then tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in Conway, Coastal Carolina versus Fairfield. I like Coastal in that one, but you do know that we're going to get Coastal in Florida on Saturday, right? And that's going to be an exceptional baseball game. I mean, come on. Saturday, there's going to be some good college baseball on Saturday. Saturday's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of Auburn Regional has Auburn, Central Connecticut, Stetson, and NC State. That's an interesting one. NC State's a sleeper, man. Watch out. Auburn's good, though. Austin Regional, Texas, Houston Christian, Kansas State, UTSA. Let's skip down to the Clemson Regional and not read through every single one. Kentucky, West Virginia tomorrow at noon. So we can wake up tomorrow, college baseball fans, and at noon o'clock we have college baseball all throughout the day, starting at noon. Kentucky, West Virginia on ESPNU in Clemson, and then at 6 o'clock on the ACC network, Clemson versus USC Upstate. If you missed the news earlier, Aiden Canuck, the ace, the Friday guy, the guy for Clemson, he will not go on Friday night. They're actually saving Aiden Canuck. Instead, they're going with Titsworth. Drew Titsworth will get the nod tomorrow night for the Clemson Tigers. A lot of fun, though, man. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Clemson is really, really good. But again, I think as JD and I were talking about a minute ago, this regional altogether is really fascinating. Good teams. Upstate's good. Today, Eric Bakich called Upstate the best 4 seed in the country. You have Cam Canarella and then Johnny Sweeney, the DH out of USC Upstate. He's the younger brother of the head coach. He is a junior. He's awesome. He is just tearing the cover off the ball. 351 with an on base of 702. Drove in 81 runs this season. And then Cam Canarella, not just offensively, but defensively. And then whenever you do see Aiden Canuck, and I think that's why Clemson wins the regional. They have the best pitcher, the best defensive player, and the best offensive player. I really do think they do. Johnny Sweeney's good, and Kentucky has the ability to be good. They've been inconsistent at times. But we'll see. We'll see. It should be a lot of fun. And then in that Conway regional that I was talking about, watch out for Dixon Williams out of East Carolina, one of the most exciting players in college baseball, one of the fastest players, not only fast but also has the power. Colby Shelton, the shortstop at Florida, one of the best hitters in the country as well, hitting 377 overall right now. And then Caden Bodine out of Coastal Carolina, the catcher, he's a day 1 draft pick. Most likely this summer. Elite defensively, exceptional at the plate, fielding .998 with just 1 passed ball this season. He's thrown out 36% of base stealers. And then Jacob Morrison, right-handed pitcher out of Coastal. There's a lot of good prospects. This is going to be a lot. I can't wait. Regional weekend in college baseball is an exciting weekend for sports. It really is. Dewey on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line says Clemson will get eliminated in the first round. Dewey calling for a Clemson upset in their own regional. I don't know about that, Dewey. I don't know about that. I would disagree. I think they come out of the – it'd be disappointing, wouldn't it? But who knows? Maybe Dewey ends up being right. I guess we shall see on that. We shall see. We had a fantastic conversation earlier in the show with Reggie Chapman Jr. of 11 Alive News in Atlanta. Talking Braves baseball, even though the Braves aren't worth talking about right now. We talked about them. That conversation for you next. Well, the Atlanta Braves, Game 1 is in the books, and the series is officially over as the Philadelphia Phillies have taken 2 of 3 from the Atlanta Braves. It's a bad day, bad week. It's been a bad season. We all know that, right? It's what we have come to expect. To talk Atlanta Braves with us right here on the Fan Upstate, we bring in Reggie Chapman Jr. He is a sports anchor and reporter in Atlanta for 11 Alive News. Reggie, as you can tell, I'm pretty down. I'm a lifelong Atlanta Braves fan. I'm pretty upset about the current state of the Atlanta Braves. You hear the news about something popping and the elbow of the starting pitcher today, Smith Shawver. When it rains, it pours, or at least that's what it feels like. Are you here to tell me that I'm crazy, or am I the only one out here hitting the panic button?
No, I'll tell you, you're not nearly the only person that's hitting the panic button, man. I mean, look, it's absolute chaos. I mean, the team has lost 6 of the last 7. It's frustrating ways of it happening too, right? I mean, you think about that. Game 1 of that series against the Padres, and Ronnie comes back, and all the energy is good. He hits that home run. They end up losing in the 9th off that Machado home run. I mean, the other night they get shut out again. And then, of course, this game, they show some fight, make it all the way back, and then for the last couple of nights it's been either a hit by pitch or a walk batter that have been kind of the difference. Every day it's something. And then to add today the fact that AJ Smith-Shawver, like you mentioned, said that he felt like something popped. We're, of course, going to be monitoring that as the game just ended, of course, like you said. So we'll just see what's going to be what they say about that. But, I mean, look, it's a frustrating time, and you're upset for a good reason. I understand why.
A lot of Atlanta Braves fans probably upset. Let's start with, man, there's so much to get into with this Braves team. Let's start with the return of Ronald Acuna Jr. You're right, for a brief period of time, it felt like, man, there's some energy. There's some hope. Acuna's back. He hits a home run. He hits another one the next game. Maybe there's some positivity, some things to build upon, Reggie. However, Ronald Acuna's return in the small sample size of him being back has not jump-started this Braves offense. In your mind, is it unfair to put that weight on his shoulders to expect one player to be able to jump-start this Braves offense?
I wouldn't say it's unfair, mostly because of the fact that he's a player that is generational, right? I mean, he's one of those guys that when you put him on a roster, take him off of a roster, it absolutely changes not only like what the lineup looks like, knowing you've got that kind of star power in the lineup, but also changes just the overlook and outlook of what the team looks like, right? I mean, you go on the road at certain places, it's like, okay, like the Braves are coming to town, right? But it's a little bit different when Ronald Acuna Jr. comes to town, right, alongside the rest of the Braves organization. At the end of the day, he's one of those superstar players that needs to be, I guess, in that same category as a guy that you'd expect to help jumpstart what this team is. And I'll be honest, I think so far in his time so far, he's doing his best. I mean, he's making plays in the outfield. He showed off the arm a couple different times. I mean, that home run that he hit, I'm watching from the stands that day actually because I was off work, and I get to my seats and I see it fly 1,000,000 feet into the bleachers. I'm thinking, man, this team might be back. Is it too late for him to try and win MVP? At the end of the day, though, he's playing. I think he's doing all he can really do at this point. I think you can only influence everybody else so much. I think the bats have been really an issue, really over this last little stretch here, and it's something that he can play well, but I mean, if you're not getting the production from guys like Michael Harris II, if you're not getting production from guys like Ozzie Albies, you want big stuff from, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna's got to be a star, and it feels like while some guys are picking and choosing what days they want to perform, you need more consistency across the board, and while Ronald can really help that, somebody's going to have to help drive him in sometimes as well.
Yeah, Reggie, you mentioned Michael Harris there. I remember, when the Braves were coming out of that rebuild and you start getting really good pieces and you get Ronald Acuna and you fast forward a couple of years and you have this guy and Michael Harris, you sign him to a big deal. And man, the sentiment was that this guy is going to be really, really good. He might not be Acuna good, but he's going to be really good. It's been a little bit disappointing when it comes to Michael Harris. Is it too early to use the B word and and talking about maybe not a bust, but maybe let's use the M word instead and say a miss on the part of the Braves. Not him not being a good player, but him not being what the Braves thought they had.
I think it's too soon, mostly just because, I mean, there's not one person, I think, that when they sign that contract that they think, wow, they've overpaid for this kid and it's too early to give him this contract. I think it's worked in the similar model that we've always kind of seen from the Braves and what AA likes to do, where he wants to try and, once he sees some sort of flashes and some pop, he tries to sign you then and there to make sure they get you under a contract that is not in the Juan Soto range of things, right? Not something ridiculously and crazy. They only pay for a couple players here and there. Outside of that, I mean, because Ronald Acuna Jr. was $100 million, but I mean, he should definitely be in that $250, $300, $400 million range, right? That type of player, right? But they got him early. And I think they thought that similar thing would happen with Michael Harris. Like you said, not the same exact type of player, but a player that had showed some flashes with the bat, and then they knew no matter what defensively he would be able to do enough. Now, mind you, I do say the bat is something he's going to have to figure out for sure. The good news is that he made a play like today where he robbed a home run in center field. I think that at the end of the day, it's not our money also, which makes it a little bit different as well. But also, it's not like he's not contributing. As long as the defense is there, that keeps him necessary to keep out in the field, especially in center field. But I think the bat is something that can absolutely come back, and it's something that, I mean, we've seen over the course of his young career, and it's something that I'm sure a couple of tweaks here and there, and it can help him get jump-started. He's not the only one struggling, so, I mean.
No, he's not.
It can't just be him.
He's not the only one by any means. We'll get into a few of those others that are struggling. As we're joined right now on the Fan Upstate by Reggie Chapman Jr. of 11 Alive News. Reggie, this Braves offense a couple of seasons ago was prolific. I mean, you talk about being so good, they broke records. They were historically good a couple of seasons ago. In your mind, how do you explain the change in the MLB, the change in what's happened with the Braves offensively? I mean, you talk about the players slumping, that's one thing, but the advanced metrics, they tell the real story. Atlanta has one of the highest whiff rates in baseball, especially on fastballs up and breaking balls down. They're chasing pitches outside the zone. The team's barrel percentage is down, meaning they're just not squaring up on the ball like they used to. And when you combine that with a ton of more advanced metrics like BA-BIP, and you look at all these slugging metrics, it's way down. It's concerning. There are a lot of red flags, not just talking about the stars that aren't performing. What can you attribute this team just not being the same offensively to?
Well, it's funny because I remember when we were talking heading into this season, I pointed out literally that 2023 season and said, look, most of this roster is the same at the end of the day. How much different should it look? Last year, a lot of injuries. All these guys have been playing this year. So, I mean, at this point, we got to start looking at other things and trying to get creative, right? I mean, we can look at certain things. The coaching staff looks a little bit different, right? Stitt, of course, is still at the top. But you look at we've got a new hitting coach, new first and third base coaches, as Ron Washington ended up going to the Angels. I mean, there's different people, I guess, in the clubhouse. And then you also wonder if there's anybody in that clubhouse that can really, I guess, is maybe the biggest leader, I guess. That's kind of the weird thing that you think about a Braves organization that's always felt well-run and not always, but in the last little time here, it's felt well-run and everything's been on the right track. So it's at this point, it's just guessing at this point. I mean, there's nothing that you can really pinpoint exactly that other than the fact that the one thing that is different is some of that coaching staff, right? I thought an interesting stat I saw coming in the game that just kind of showcases just how poor they've been hitting. The Braves, and this is from Mark, I had to Mark Bowman from MLB from tweeting this out earlier. Coming into today, he said the Braves had gone 11-10 over the stretch while constructing the Major League Baseball's fourth best ERA. 11-10 while having the fourth best ERA at 2.85 coming into today. The pitching staff is doing what they need to do to win games. And if the bats can't show up, something's going to have to change. I know the 2023 team is magic, and it's something that, something they're going to continue to hang their hat on and saying, look, this is what it's supposed to look like. But unfortunately, if it continues like this, at a certain point, you have to wonder if big changes are on the way.
You certainly do. How much do you think there should be made about assistant coaches not being there? Because this has been brought up on our text line several times throughout the course of the season. You mentioned Ron Washington and Eric Young Sr. not a part of the team anymore. And the little things, that's what Ron Washington was known for. That's what Eric Young Sr. was known for. The Braves sometimes struggle with those little things. How much do you think in 2025 in Major League Baseball, when the team is not playing well, like the Braves aren't right now, like they're not playing well, how much do you put on assistant coaches? I mean, coaching still matters, right?
Yeah, it absolutely still matters. And the thing about it, especially with those guys that you mentioned, is those are, while they're great coaches, of course, and they make sure that they teach the right things in the right position and stuff like that. I think more than anything is they're culture guys that help keep people accountable, right? I think we've always known Snit as a manager that has been, I don't want to say hands off, but he's a guy that allows his players to play, and he allows his coaches on his staff to be able to do their jobs, and that he is just a man on top, making sure that the vibes are good, making sure that what needs to be put out fire-wise need to be put out, and then of course on game day making the correct decisions from the dugout. I think that when you've got a coach like that and a team that, you lose some of those big name guys that were maybe those big leaders. I mean, I hate bringing up the Freddie Freeman thing because it's not super relevant, but just an example, right? Freddie Freeman or Dansby Swanson, these guys that were like the known leaders on the team are no longer there. And so it was fine when those assistant coaches were still there. But now, especially since now we're just searching for answers, you start to wonder how much of an impact that is. And I'll be honest, I think it has to mean a lot considering I think Ron Washington, Eric Young, they were guys that really held guys accountable, especially the young guys, to try and keep on track, but also while making sure they felt good enough and could help turn things around for these guys as well. I don't know.
Glue guys, right? Glue guys. That's the thing. That's what you're describing. They're glue guys. They were glue guys for the Braves. And you also had glue guys and Freeman and culture builders and setters and guys who were literally glued to the team. Dansby Swanson, and now all of those glue guys are not there, coaches and players included. In terms of the big picture, stepping back away from that panic button that I've hit like 19 times this season, Reggie, where do you think the Braves are in contention after today? I believe they're, 10.5 back after today's loss?
Yeah, they're definitely in a tough spot. I mean, clearly they're in a tough spot. Like I said, losing 6 of the last 7 puts you in a position where you're really starting to wonder. I think the thing is, though, it sounds crazy because we're looking at what's going on, right? We're seeing it in front of you. But unfortunately, I think because of the prior success and because of the money that we know that the organization has put in, and we know that the investment that they put into certain players, and we've seen the players produce. I think one of the interesting things that Snit always says is like, you look at the back of these guys' baseball cards, they can play. And so I think in my head, I still have, and this is just me, but I still have a hard time believing that this is going to last. I'm one of those guys that's kind of glass half full. That I still feel like the pieces are still there to be able to do something. I mean, like, actually, I'll give you an example, right? Here in town, Atlanta United's been off to an historically bad start. Our MLS team here in town, and just terrible season start of the year. They had not won a match since over the weekend. They won their first match since the end of March. And yet they won that match against the top 2 team in the East, and then against another team yesterday that had not lost a match in the last 12. And it feels like their season's turning around. There's a lot of time left in that season. There's still a lot of time left in this Braves season. And I feel like at some point you think they would turn it around, but, I haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm ready to give up.
Yeah. I'm with you. What do you make the overall sentiment around Matt Olson? He's been a big problem in 2025. We saw flashes of this last season. He certainly doesn't look like the same Matt Olson from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's been surprising too. I mean, and look, and I hate timing-wise too because, like I said, it feels like every time Freddie Freeman does anything, or they play against the Dodgers, and there's always that conversation like, they shouldn't have traded Freddie. Matt Olson's a bum. I mean, it's just not true at all. Matt Olson's one of the better first baseman all baseball. He's a Gold Glove level player out there. He hits the ball well, of course, had that crazy 2023 season. everything's there. But once again, it's one of these deals where it's almost inexplainable what's going on. Like, it has to be something that we're not seeing. It has to be something that we don't know. I can't understand why this many players are this inconsistent. And, you know, you mentioned pressing that panic button, man. That's probably the name that I've seen the most people freak out about with these at-bats. Like, when he came up here in the ninth today, I was like, man, like, people are going to be upset if he doesn't do anything. So it's unexplainable, honestly. But it's something that, once again, he's going to have to figure out. There's nobody behind him or nobody that's in the pipeline that you're thinking, let's go fill him in for Matt Olson instead. He's got to figure it out, and somebody's going to have to push the right buttons to make sure he does so.
Reggie, my last question for you. Is there any truth in your mind to maybe a growing feeling that this could be the final year, the final season for Brian Snitker?
I don't know, man. And that's you know, everybody says that, though. I mean, you think about the year they won the World Series, people were saying that in the middle of the year they shook back, and then, man, I know they gave a little bit of leeway the next season, but people were thinking that then. I think overall there's a general reaction, you know, especially with baseball fans, where it's, if the team isn't playing well, it's time to just get rid of the manager and just see what's next, right? And I don't know if it's time to think that or say that or even have that be the case going forward. I think at the end of the day, it's one of these situations where I think Snit also recognizes his position and where he's kind of at. And, like, it feels like at the end of every year, it's that conversation. It's like, like, how much longer are you going to keep doing this? And it feels like he looks at it every year. I have a hard time believing they would fire him. I think that would just be, especially mid-season. If anything, you know, maybe wait to the end of the year and maybe he decides or we see what direction they go. But I don't see, based on all that Snit has done and as a manager and what he's meant to this organization as a lifer, I don't see them making any kind of rash moves like that to where they have to get crazy and clear house at a point like this.
Reggie, you're the best, man. Always appreciate you taking time to hop on with me, and let's do it again soon.
Thanks again, man. I appreciate it. Talk
Absolutely
soon.
Appreciate you, Reggie Chapman Jr. of 11 Alive News. know if it gets much better than Lane Kiffin and Paul Feinbaum. I really don't. I just don't know if it gets better. I mean, this audio is so good. I played it back in the show at like 4 o'clock. But for those of you Tolos on the way home or wherever you may be on this Thursday evening, how about this for you? How about this audio between Lane Kiffin and Paul Feinbaum? This is fun stuff.
So many greatest hits of this vaudeville act we've had now for about 12 or 13 years that I don't really know what would make the best of show.
It's been an up and down relationship.
It has.
My point is we're still standing and
Yeah,
we're still
no,
here together.
I mean,
we've gone to the other coast. We've come back.
Yeah.
You know, and we still have us together. We were at Tennessee at one point together.
Yeah, we were. That was not a great period for us.
I don't know. But we have been through a lot now that I think about it. We Tennessee, and we went to the other coast, and you got me fired there, and then you came back, and then we
I
made
had
up,
a bet
we
with
made up at
Jabari.
Alabama.
I said, he won't bring that up.
Well, I wasn't until I just thought about all we've been through.
I'll pay you back later, Jamari.
You know? And now look, we're in Destin.
I don't mean to like interrupt you, but I mean, is there a statute of limitations on me getting you fired at Southern Cal, or not?
Yeah, this will be it. We'll put it to rest here. There's the Gulf. I'm no longer going to bring it up. I'm grateful for it, though. That's what I've said.
I mean, look at you.
Everything happens for a reason.
Look at you. Okay, we put Miley Cyrus to bed.
Yeah.
You know who?
She's still doing well.
You know who's benefited the most is Miley Cyrus.
I don't think Miley Cyrus probably even paid attention to.
Have you ever run into her and like say thanks to you? I mean, at the time that I brought her up, she was ice cold.
We just said we're moving on from it, and you're bringing it up again. Like it didn't even get 50 feet deep out there, and it's already back. So plus, I'm sticking up for Kirby. I just saw him walking off, and he said you were mean to him today. Guys only been to, I just counted it when they had him listed up there, 7 of the 8 last SEC championships, and you rip on him today.
I wasn't ripping on him. I was ripping on his quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I was just
telling you, he seemed in a bad mood. You used to piss off Coach Saban, now you piss off Coach Smart. It's like you just move them around.
Your fans don't like me.
What fans do like you?
Because I'm always saying.
Okay.
Are we on the air?
Oh, I didn't know we were filming. Oh, well.
Well, we're out of time.
That'd be good for something.
Nothing has changed with Lane Kiffin. It's always like some of the most awkward TV in America, but I love it.
You think, Paul? But it's freaking hilarious. Even though it may be awkward, it's pretty funny. By the way, Tolos, the Braves, Phillies, Game 2 has begun. How about that? The Braves are not losing yet, so still holding out hope. Maybe the Braves can avoid the sweep tonight. Get one game. I mean, come on. Just get one game, top of the first, 2 outs. The Braves and the Phillies just got underway here not long ago. But Tolo's a fantastic Thursday show. Appreciate each and every one of you for making it a great Thursday. The Tolo Takeover was good today. But tomorrow, let's make it even better. Friday's show coming your way. The College World Series in the softball world still heading on strong. By the way, if you missed it, Oklahoma came back to walk off Tennessee. That was an incredible game earlier today. And then the college baseball regionals begin tomorrow. How about that, Tolos? Are you ready? I hope so. We'll talk about it, continue the conversation, and more right here tomorrow on the Fan Upstate. We'll see you then.